Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland, and tonight we have guest Heather Leigh Strom. She is the author of Canine Spirit Guides. We were supposed to, I screwed up and scheduled her and forgot we had rescheduled and posted a few weeks ago. You probably saw that post. I have her on, but we do have her on now. I did sound check. She will be here. We're all good for that. And I've been really enjoying her book, Canine Spirit Guides. We're going to get into that. Now, I've had Rob Gutro on, and I've had other mediums on that communicate with pets, you know, either on this side or the other side. This is a little different tonight with Heather. It's about canine spirit guides, these, you know, spirit guides or essence of these maybe alien consciousness or other dimensional spirit guides that communicate using your dogs to help you through your life's journey. It's really interesting, and I can't wait to talk to her tonight. And of course, we'll open up the phone lines later in the show to call in and ask Heather for the guests. I don't know if she's staying with us for the whole 3-hour show or not. She'll be after the commercial break. But either way, we'll open up phone lines and we'll probably go the 3 hours maybe, depending on how, to see how things are going, how many people here. I know it's Super Bowl Sunday. You know me. I don't care about Super Bowl. You know, Puppy Bowl, right? For our guest tonight. I'm sure she, you know, my mom watches the Puppy Bowl. Did you? I don't know about the Super Bowl, but Puppy Bowl, man. That's where it's at. Puppy Bowl. Who cares about Super Bowl? I know I'm ranting. Let's go ahead and get rolling on into it. Welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup. As I said before, I'm your host, Jason Bland. Tonight's guest, Heather Leigh Strom, is going to join us after the World Wide Web of Weird, after our first commercial break. Joining me, as always, from beautiful California. I don't know, they should have a kitty bowl. Why does it have to be a puppy bowl? Because my lovable, beautiful cat lady herself, Jamie D, how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good, thank you.
Yeah, none of us here watch the Super Bowl. I find that hilarious. People in the chat room, vote. Did you watch the Super Bowl? Or are you totally like everybody? I'm going to take a bet. 7 out of 10 people in my chat room, which is only like 15, probably did not watch the Super Bowl. Rob from St. Augustine, Florida, did not watch the Super Bowl either. Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
I didn't watch it. I didn't even know who was playing until yesterday.
I heard they had some really quick running back named Swift or something. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know. I know some people like watch it for the halftime show, and that's all they watch. And I'm like, I don't care about that either.
No.
Or for the commercials. There was an RFK Jr. commercial. Sorry, shameless plug for him. But you know, I don't care. I don't
Well,
care. I'm glad for all you here.
This year
Yeah.
I do care because it is the 49ers, and like I said, that was my dad's
Yeah, that's right.
religion. He's from
So
the
did
city,
you
diehard
keep?
fan.
Did they win, or is it still going?
I don't even know if it's still on, but I could hear the neighbors every so often. I could tell when something good was happening.
Just by the reactions.
Mhm.
I heard
Go 49ers.
Yeah, I heard my neighbors. I was outside working earlier, and I heard my neighbors yell something, and I don't think they were happy.
49ers fans?
I don't know. It was not family approved comment that they yelled out really loud.
Oh, wow. Oh, I've heard that. I've had neighbors do that. I had one guy screaming and yelling one year. I'm like, seriously, dude? All right,
Yeah.
we got a lot to get into the World Wide Web of Weird. So let's go ahead and roll into the World Wide Web of Weird. Tonight on the World Wide Web of Weird, yes, the continuing story. I start with so many World Wide Web of Weirds on this story, but it continues. Avi Loeb offers new evidence to suggest that his spherules, which I hate to keep talking because spherules just does not roll off the tongue for me, are alien, not pollution like coal ash, as was stipulated by another university. Who some people, I don't think, analyzed the evidence that much, but that's what they're saying. He got pollution, and he's saying he has evidence. No, it's alien. For those listening on... I hit the wrong button. For those listening on the Paranormal Soup radio channel on the Paranormal Radio app on Talkstream, we are a live webcast that stream out to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch every Sunday night, and we do have sometimes videos and stuff. We do have some stuff tonight. You can come watch or listen, and I'll narrate as best as I possibly can. All right, first up from Unexplained Mysteries, Avi Loeb offers new evidence to suggest the spherules are alien. Back in June of 2023, Loeb, who had been on an expeditionary search for pieces of potentially artificial constructed interstellar object that fell somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, published a blog article describing the discovery as a mysterious metal, spherules. I have problems with that word. With a composition he claimed to be anomalous when compared to human-made alloys. We found 10 spherules, he said. These are almost perfect spheres or metallic marbles. When you look at them, though, through a microscope, they look very distinct from the background. It has material strength that is tougher than all space rock that we've ever seen. At this time, his claims were universally panned by scientists who ultimately concluded that what he had found was likely to be more than, as University of Chicago physicist Patricio L.A. Gallardo, I got that right, described it as coal fly ash, a waste product of the combustion coal and power plants and steam engines. You remember when I had this article about that? I'm like, oh, it's pollution. Maybe they're wrong. Not content with the explanation, Loeb is now back once again with a new findings that he claims debunk this particular interpretation and begins to point towards extraterrestrial origins. What we did is compare 55 elements from the periodic table and the coal ash to those special spherules that we found, he said. And it's clearly very different. It's not based on opinions. And of course, if you're not part of the scientific process and you are jealous of the attention that it gets, then you can raise a lot of criticism. That's the point when you have that meme where they're like, oh, in the scientific community, I don't know. The best approach to figure it out is actually to do scientific work on building observations that look out and check what these objects are, he said, and that they have... and if they happen to be birds or airplanes or Chinese balloons, or so be it, we can move on after that. But we need to figure it out. It is our civil duty as scientists. I sort of remember that I don't think those people from the University of Chicago actually studied anything. They just said, oh, no, that's just coal ash, without really making any study of it. So, Avi Loeb, coming back at him. Next, last Weird Wednesday, you guys were talking about lucid dreamers, or lucid dreaming, right? You had something on lucid dreams. I was half awake. Lucid dreaming listening to you because I had to get up at 6 a.m. What was it you guys had last week on lucid dreams?
If it was proof about insidious,
that they could talk to people through their lucid dream.
Yeah.
Well, this new one Lucid dreamers drive virtual Cybertruck in bizarre new experiment. Ever had a dream in which you actually this is one of my explain mysteries. Ever had a dream in which you actually become aware that you're dreaming and can directly influence events? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, lucid dreaming. For years, scientists have attempted to study what goes on in the brain during such experiences, and now it seems to have become possible to use lucid dreaming to control objects on a computer. In a series of recent experiments, researchers from California startup REM Space achieved what they are hailing as the first two-way control of a virtual object from a lucid dreamer. Volunteers who were hooked up to a computer were able to drive a virtual Cybertruck around on the screen and even evade obstacles despite being sound asleep. Special equipment based on electromyography sensors was developed. The team wrote in a press release, and as person moved their legs in a dream, this led to the movement of a virtual avatar on the computer screen. Hand movements caused the car to turn, and obstacles were signaled by light through the eyelids. 5 experienced lucid dreamers took part in the laboratory study. All of them were able to consciously control a virtual test cell while asleep when their brains were in REM sleep. Two-way control of an object on the screen lasted from several seconds to several minutes. The research could open the door to many new ways of utilizing the power of lucid dreaming. Two-way interaction with the computer from dream opens up a whole area of new technology, said the experiment leader Michael Radaga. I wonder if they picked them driving a car as part of the experiment, because so many people drive in a hypnotic state in a sense when they drive. I don't know how related that is to lucid dreaming.
Like when they take Ambien, stuff like that, they always end up in the car, like driving to the store and coming back home.
Yeah, not recommended. Do not do that.
No, don't.
Do not do that. That is driving bad. No Ambien in driving. Oh my God.
No, I mean, people will just like
I know
wake up and then just do it.
Yeah, but I trust them better than somebody that's like looking at their cell phone half the time they're driving. All right, let's move on. All right, what's this next one I had? Oh yeah. So we've had drone footage capture, Bigfoot and that, drone footage to UFOs. This new one is drone footage captures mysterious figure in Canuck chase, and more like a lady in white in the woods. Very creepy. A woman dressed in white was spotted standing among the trees in the infamous area of rural England. Situated in the rural Staffordshire, England, the area of the countryside known as Canuck Chase has gained something of a reputation over the years for being home to all manner of weird and disturbing things. Both visitors and locals alike have reported everything from UFOs and paranormal phenomena to sightings of strange creatures wandering through the woods. This particular sighting, which shows what has been described by the media as a black-eyed girl. Now, I don't know how they get the black-eyed girl. You can't see no eyes. You can't see no face. Where do you get the black-eyed girl?
I think I've seen a different version of this. And
So,
they said her mouth was screaming, but it didn't look like
I can't see anything. I mean, like that. I mean, there is somebody there, but there's nothing that close or detailed. This picture sighting shows what has been described by the media as a black-eyed girl comes courtesy of a drone pilot who has captured the footage of a mysterious figure in the forest some years ago, and now it's been circulating online. Dressed in what appears to be a long white robe, the figure can be made out quite clearly and looks like a woman, long hair, just standing there. Go ahead and play it. This has been circulating. This was shot years ago, they said, a few years ago. But now it's been circulating online.
That's what I was wondering. I was checking the date because I thought it looked familiar. So that could just
That's the footage right there, and it's that quick, and then they're going to slow it down. Well, actually, no, he does get a relook. That's when they first saw it, and he goes and flies in for a relook at what he just saw. And then it's be very short, what he looks at here, and then they have to zoom in, slow it down, and see it. You can just barely see it there. That's where we're going to get the zoom in footage from. Let's look again. Yeah, you can see an arm, hand. It's a person.
Yeah.
Now, is that just some elderly patient in a robe out in the woods that got lost? That's a scary thought.
Could be some homeless lady.
But where did they get the black-eyed thing? Do you see a head or a face you can say she has black eyes?
No.
Or a screaming mouth, like one of the articles said.
Yeah. I mean, okay, this is weird. It is odd. I mean, could it just be a person in the woods?
That could just
be weird.
Me. Do something weird in England, the woods.
Hanging out in the woods looking for stray cats.
Whatever.
England's got lost cats too. They need rescuing. You got too many.
Burying lemons. I don't know.
Hunting for mushrooms.
Yep.
Yeah.
Most likely.
I had a friend's mom that used to do that. Not psychedelic mushrooms, like mushrooms that she could cook up and eat.
Like lion's mane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Morels, I hear, are a big hit up there.
Yeah, that's what she would get. I hate mushrooms. I won't eat them. I won't touch
I
them.
never love
Touch them.
them.
Yeah, no. But it's
Mm-mm.
weird. But what can we say about this? I mean, a few years ago, and then they didn't go out. Should have. I would. If I was somebody got that on drone, I'd be like, we need to go investigate this. We have to go out there.
It's all like
Because what if this
zoomed
is an
in around
elderly
this
what if this
person,
is somebody with dementia? Because I have
or
I had a next door
autistic
neighbor
walking out.
walked off. We were afraid she walked into the woods. You know what I'm saying?
Autistic
Like,
people will
or
walk
autistic.
like
Yeah.
water.
If you see somebody who looks like they're in a nightgown out in the woods, you should go investigate. I know it's the beginning of a horror movie, but it's real life. You need to go
Yeah, it
investigate.
is.
All right, yeah, let's move on. All right, so I've seen. I was trying to decide. I had so many TikTok videos. I don't watch TikTok, but these filter through to other websites. Like, have you guys seen the one with the kid at the door? Like, kids pounding on the door, and the guy opens. You can see the kid right up to the last second when he pulls the door, and then there's no kid there. I'm
The
like, this is
second I
shitty.
see it's a TikTok, I just don't even.
Yeah,
bother.
but there's a guy attached his name to that. I just couldn't get like legitimate video of it, so I didn't cover that one. This one's been going around. This one's from Mexico.
I do see them posted a lot.
Yeah, I'd like more information on that one with the kid disappearing from the door before I show it. Plus, I think some other media group
Just
brought it
press
up, so if
block
I
and
show it,
click on and
if-
they press
if-
play.
yeah, if I show it, they'll probably take it down anyway. So, weird video has gone viral on social media in Mexico. Shows a puzzling anomaly emerged from a hole in a sidewalk before vanishing from sight, and some believe the oddity could be some kind of shape-shifting entity. Now, this is probably could be fake. All this stuff, TikTok videos. The only reason I'm
They
playing
have
this,
some crazy editing apps now that will
Yeah.
make people look like they're dripping down, melting into the ground, and like
but
coming back
the
out.
reason I want to play this, when I saw this, I did get a little bit of chills because when I had my shadow. When I had my shadow person experience, when I'd seen this thing in the light and the way it moved and lurked and disappeared between stuff is very similar how this thing comes up and out of this gate and the way it looks like my shadow person. So go ahead and play. Well, I don't think I had anything else to say. Go ahead and play it. And there's just music that plays. There really isn't much audio. See, like a head spooks out. It's totally black. Goes back down. Like, I'd have its head poke around a corner of a wall and look at me and make me jump, and then it'd go back. It did that when I was walking up to a buddy's house. This is my best I could do zoom in of it. It's pretty blurry. But the way that's just, I mean, I know it's bad, probably just bad video or whatever, but the way it's black, the way it moves, that's what it reminded me of. That's the only reason I chose this one out of the numerous TikTok paranormal videos now. Like, I don't have TikTok, but these things filter out and people send me them.
Black and white.
Yeah. I think it's just the filter they're using. I don't know.
Like, why the filter?
I mean, could that be a homeless person living in the underground? I mean, think of the Mole City stuff. Did you ever watch the Mole City documentary in New York?
We got people burrowing in the side of the creek
where we talked about that last week.
years.
Yeah. Is that what this is? Because housing costs are going so up, we're getting mole people.
I don't even know what this is, to be honest. I have no idea.
But this is Mexico. I don't know.
It's
Is it
whack-a-mole.
one of those things they pull
Or-
up to look like a fake cobra? Those little things people walk by and then they try to get you to buy the fake cobra.
I don't think that's what that is. That's something I wouldn't go investigate. No. Yeah, just leave, just walk away.
Like a mamba.
All right, so that was Mexico. Now to Argentina.
What do you guys think?
Remarkable clear photos of flying saucer snapped by women in Argentina. There's a number of photos on the website. Coast to Coast also has an article, but they just have the video link. But then there's a link to the website in there too, the original article. That's like the best one she took. A remarkable series of photos taken by an Argentina woman shows what appear to be a classic flying saucer cruising through the sky. According to the local media report, the tantalizing images were captured last Thursday morning by Rena Vale Jerez as she and her husband were driving to the community of San Pedro de Calala. I don't know if that's right. After snapping some pictures of the sights along the highway, she recalled, "I saw a dark spot in the sky, and that's when I started photographing it, thinking it was a blackbird. However, when she got a closer look at the curious object, she realized that it was some kind of flying saucer. Although her husband kept driving the car rather than stopped, observe the oddity, she encouraged her to photograph it, and Jerez managed to take several pictures of the puzzling object that was visible in the sky for around 3 minutes before it vanished from view. Looking back on the experience, the witness mused that she did not feel particularly scared by the sighting and nonchalantly chalked it up to having seen something weird on the way to San Pedro. However, when she later examined the photos, Jerez was astonished at the clarity and how one can distinctly see the saucer-shaped object in the photos, leaving little doubt as to what she had observed that day. I think this is a zoom-in of one of her photos. To that end, Jerez believes that she photographed some kind of ship, though she did not directly attribute the perceived vehicle to aliens. That said, one suspect, that in her conclusion, she marveled to an Argentine media outlet that you have to see it to believe it. I saw it. I mean, it is almost like a classic flying saucer ship. You can almost see like there's like a dome kind of a little bit at the bottom of it.
Yeah, it's pretty
Or
weird.
like a blimp.
Yeah, she has several pictures that they posted with this. Like Coast to Coast has actually there's a Twitter or Facebook post of this.
What is that on the back?
That really isn't a zoom in. I'm looking at its original picture, and it's like, now, is there something flying behind it there, or is that just part of it?
Yeah, like a fin.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like a blimp.
It's a rudder, man.
Oh no,
or a
they
probe.
have it on the
Maybe a
bottom.
little, maybe a probe.
A probe.
Pretty weird looking.
The non-anal kind.
Well,
The one
this
that
is
fly out of the
weird.
ship, not that kind of probe.
It's not
I don't know.
that.
I mean, I feel like we're going to get another wave of this stuff in South America and all that stuff, just with the stuff that has happened in Peru recently. I mean, I don't know if that still makes me think there's some black budget military, some kind of psyop going there. I have no idea. It's a really weird case. But it seems like Mexico, Argentina, Peru, Brazil, there's all these UFO sightings happening lately. And with what's going on, I just got a message says, we're having trouble streaming to Facebook. This may be an issue on Facebook's end. It's possible the stream was ended or deleted on Facebook. We'll keep trying to
It
let
says
you
it was
know
ended.
if it's
It's
resolved.
not
Please check
available
Facebook.
right now. It's gone.
Yeah. Try creating a new live stream or just remove this destination from the stream, then add it. All right, let me try that really quick. We got like 5 minutes left, damn. But I'd rather like try to get us back up on Facebook. I know you guys want to hear the World Wide Web of Weird, but what do I do? Edit?
Yeah, I believe so. I can't do that on my end here.
Okay, so what do I do? Just click on the Facebook, remove.
Good old facial book.
Yeah, remove. It's the first time this has happened in a long time. Save changes, and now can I go back and edit and add it? Yep. Save changes.
Oh, there you go.
Let's see if this puts us live. It's got the check mark. So hopefully we're live on Facebook. All right. Sorry, I just caught that message. So really quick, before we run out of time,
You still have to reshare it back out.
Yeah, I don't have. Yeah, if you can share it out for me, that's great. I can't at the moment because we're going to finish this up. Hopefully, it re-notifies people. This was an interesting article. I can't get enough time to read the whole thing, but police called out after inert nuclear missile found in man's garage. Authorities were alerted of the owner of the missile as he attempted to donate it to a military museum. A man in Bellevue, Washington, recently offered to donate an inert nuclear missile to a military museum in Ohio. The first thing the museum did was call the police. When officers arrived at the door of the home, they discovered that there really was an old, rusted nuclear missile in the man's garage, though fortunately it was missing its nuclear warhead. The bomb squad was even called to properly ensure. Imagine being a cop called out and you're like, no, that really is like a nuclear missile. You know, like
you like walk in and go, what is? Oh, really?
Radiation detector, but it didn't have the warhead in it. Well, you know, how the hell, you know, this guy, what do you see? The donor was extremely irritated by all the media coverage because the item was inert and the military did not request it back. Police left the item with the neighbor to be restored to its display in the museum. So basically, sorry. I guess he had it, you know, the military had leased or left it with him. Why? Think about all these weapons we're giving out to these countries right now.
Article I had said
where are they going to end up?
sale.
What'd you say?
So the article I had on it said he bought it from an estate sale.
That's right. It was an estate sale. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But how did the person from the estate have it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, like for all those ones flushed over to Ukraine,
Yeah.
700,000 rifles were sent to France that ended up in terrorist hands because they didn't even need all that.
Well, there's a plane that crashed back in June in Spain or somewhere, but it like kept blowing up. They're like, why does the plane keep blowing up? Because it was full of all this ammunition that was being smuggled out of Ukraine to go to other countries.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, worries me what the military-industrial complex puts out there of all these weapons. They end up in somebody's garage.
Oh, yeah. They wonder why people end up with grenades, things like that.
Yeah.
Are you having a Super Bowl party? No, but we got a couple of nuclear missiles in the garage.
In the garage.
Hang on to the hammer.
I heard like the biggest thing they were like trying to smuggle out is like night vision and drones and the deck gear and all that stuff's like high priority like items. They're being like sold.
They used to not be able to have a nighttime advantage because they didn't have night optics like certain Middle Eastern. So
after Afghanistan, they lost it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I want the last one. Pull it up. We got like a minute. Just to continue with our AI discussion on this show on the World Wide Web of Weird. I don't have time to read this whole article from New Scientist. AI chatbot tends to choose violence and nuclear strikes in war games. So they ran this test with ChatGPT and a number of other OpenAI platforms where they ran these war game scenarios where they try to go for negotiations and peace. No, the short end of the story is it always went most of the time for aggressive actions and eventually to nuclear war in the simulations. And the reasons the AI would give for these actions would be really cryptic or weird, or like one reason is like, well, we have them, why aren't we using them? Was one of the reasons of ChatGPT. We have the nukes, why aren't we using them? Sounds just like some politicians I know. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So again, in my continuing premise in the World Wide Web, we do not give AI control nuclear weapons or anything to do with military strategy or anything. Please don't.
No,
that's it for the World War. What are you gonna say? But they're going to
do it.
Like they've never seen, any science fiction movie out there, or TV show. Yeah, whatever. That's it for the World Wide Web Weird. Tonight's guest is Heather Leigh Strom. We're going to talk about her book I've been reading here. Is Canine Spirit Guides. It's a little different tonight. I've had spirit pet communicators on before, but this is a little different. We'll get into that tonight with her book, Canine Spirit Guides. Really enjoying it. But we're going to go to commercial break, and we'll be back with our guest tonight, Heather Leigh Strom, after this short commercial break.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Of the second kind, physical evidence of a UFO. Close encounters of the third kind, contact. From Steven Spielberg, the director of Jaws, comes one of the most ambitious and unusual films ever made. And what you will see has never been seen before. It's a cosmic mystery crossing what many scientists believe will be the next threshold of human experience. It is called Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It begins in an Indiana town and leads to one inescapable conclusion. We are not alone. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Certificate A. Now showing at the Odeon, Leicester Square.
The international chart-topping, haunted horror of Haverfordwest has been described as terrifyingly real, a must-read, shocking and chilling brilliance, genuinely worrying, utterly frightening. Don't read before bed. Described as one of the spookiest writers out there, best-selling author G.L. Davies presents Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest, the true paranormal account that is shocking the world. Dare you enter? Dare you read? Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, and wherever books are sold. Pray you never have to live there.
This is the sound of a space clock aboard a U.S. satellite 180 miles above the Earth. No one winds up this timepiece. It's powered by a tiny battery, a battery that delivers power for years without replacement. Now the same type of battery, the Duracell battery, can bring new reliability and long life to your battery-operated equipment. Radios, cameras, toys, all run far longer. Duracell batteries, the long-distance power cells, outlast any ordinary battery. The same type of battery that keeps space clocks running for years can bring long life to anything powered by batteries. Dura, as in durable. Cell, as in power cell. The Duracell battery, made by Mallory.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Switch to DCS Ranger.
240, nominal to profile.
We're in the pipe, 5 by 5.
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest is Heather Leigh Strom. And you thought your dog was here just to be your loving, support, and joyful playmate, but your pup is potentially much, much more than, according to Heather Leigh Strom. Your pet could be the physical conduit for your canine spirit guide. In her groundbreaking book, Canine Spirit Guides, The Healing Power of Man's Best Friend, Heather Leigh reveals that these unique spiritual energies are here to guide us on our journey of healing and growth, wisdom, transformation, spiritual evolution, and ascendency. And the ones that choose to enter your life through your pet are divinely matched to you to teach you what your soul is calling to learn. But Heather Leigh would only discover this for herself and for humanity after having passed through many decades of deeply difficult life, beginning with a verbally abusive and emotionally absent father, then poverty, crippling accidents, and loss, and more. Fueled by the sheer determination and will, pain, and repressed rage, she's nevertheless created 3 highly successful careers in dog training, physical therapy, and cycling. Today, Heather Leigh Strom will share her story of how her canine companions each came to her with specific gifts at a specific time to move her towards healing and joyful life, and how she became the channel through which the canine spirit guides are beginning bringing their message and frequencies of healing and transcendence to us all. She has a website, www.heatherleighstrom.com. That's Heather, Heather, Leigh, Leigh, Strom, Strom.com. And also at www.k9spiritguides.com are her websites. We will open up the phone lines in the next hour for you to call in, ask questions. I don't know how late we'll have Heather there tonight, as long as we can keep her. But let's go ahead and get rolling into the show. All right, let me bring her on in here. How you doing tonight, Heather?
Hi, everybody.
It's an honor to have you on the show. I've been enjoying reading your book. I have trouble getting the graphics up here. Rob does it for me, but he had to go pick up his wife. So we don't have Rob with us now. He had to go. But here's the book, and it's such a beautiful cover. Look at that.
Thank you.
It's one I was telling Jamie before the show. I mean, I've had a lot of guests, a lot of books, but this I think is one of my favorite covers. I know you didn't do the cover probably, but I am really enjoying the book. But I got to say, when I first got this, my wife goes, "Ooh, what's that?" Like she wants to read that.
That's the response I was going for.
No, it definitely got it with that cover of the book. But it's a really inspiring book. I'm not done with it yet. I enjoyed it recently because at a point in my life, people have gone through my journey here. You were asking how long I've done the show, 8 years, and I haven't had a lot of dogs in my life. I had dogs in my childhood from my grandparents, but I didn't get a dog until our first year of marriage with me and my wife. Now we've been married 20 years, but we had Bella and Asia for a long time, and they lived to a very long age. And then during COVID, they passed away within weeks of each other. Bella went first; she was 17, and then Asia at 15. As soon as Bella went, Asia went. Pretty much started going downhill. They'd been together for so long, she's going to go without her. But I want to tell you the story and get your perspective. And I apologize to the audience. I know you hear my stories. I don't try to make it about me. I want to get in tonight about what the Canine Spirit Guides. But I am interested tonight to hear a little bit of your perspective on this. Because what I'm enjoying your book is I do feel like there is something just more. There's a purpose, a connection. I can't put my finger on it. I believe this with cats too. Shout out to my cat lady over there in the corner. But I believe this with cats too, because I've had these kind of strange experiences with cats. But I had this with Bella a year before she died, but a year before I even knew about COVID or anything like that. I had this dream where we were at the vet's clinic and we're walking around the side of the clinic, and there she is on this blanket, and there's two vet assistants or whatever there, two ladies in white lab coats. And my kids are there, and she's being put down. The sun's setting. I remember my son Liam going up and putting a little, what do you call it, a dandelion by her head. I remember all that. Fast, and when I woke up from the dream, I thought, well, it's just me thinking about her passing. I know she's getting old, but no way, one, I would bring my kids with me, and why would they be putting my dog down outside? Then COVID happened. Lockdowns happened. My parents really couldn't take my kids or my in-laws because they didn't want to expose them at the time.
Yeah.
And I didn't know where to take my kids, and I couldn't leave them at home. They're too young. So we had to take our kids to Bella being put down. When we walked around this corner of that vet building, it hit me like a bag of bricks. Like,
Deja vu.
like, oh yeah, I realized. I told my boss about it a year before. He remembers me telling him because him and his husband, they're gay. They don't have kids. They're fur parents, So we talk about our dogs, And I remember telling him, I had a bad dream about Bella passing, and all that. And he remembered me telling him that when I told him what happened. He's like, I remember you telling me about that dream. I said it came true to the T, to every part of it. Dean sobbing and Liam putting that little flower by her head and the sunset. It was exactly it. So I felt like it was something that reached out to me to prepare it. And a reason I think it was because Asia passed about 3 weeks later, 3 to 4 weeks. Asia always had this huge cyst on her belly. They kept testing it. It wasn't cancerous, but it was bad. It was going to explode. And I had this dream not long after Bella passed. And of course I would, because I'm traumatized by that. No matter how old she was and she got to live a long life, it broke my heart. And I had this dream that I woke up in the middle of the night to Asia screaming, and that cyst thing had exploded, and she died in my arms. It was horrible. So I turned to my wife and I said, she's not eating. She hasn't eaten for weeks. She's barely moving, and she's acting like that's hurting her. We need to get her taken in and see what's going on. What our options are. When they took her in, they said that thing's going to explode anytime. We can't. She's too elderly to do surgery. It's not looking good, and we had to put her down with our kids there again. It might literally put my kids in therapy. I feel awful as a parent. I know the audience wants to hear from you, and I wanted to share this story with you to get my tell you where I'm coming at tonight with my experiences with this. That I do feel you in this book. This is why you're like, oh wow, you read my book so far. And I'm like, because I'm really into it. I believe in these connections. I'm trying to understand what this is, and I want to get what brought you here. First off, canine spirit guides. It's not like you are communicating with the dog's soul or spirit, like your spirit. This is something bigger, grander maybe. Can you explain that to the audience what it is? Now that I've talked enough.
Okay. So canine spirit guides are, like you said, they're not the soul of the individual dog. They're not the spirit of the individual dog. They are a collective of entities of animal energies that come to Earth, come to humanity. They've always been here with us since forever, and they've always helped us through our dogs. And they've not wanted to be known until now. They never saw any reason that we needed to know they were there or that they had anything to do with our experiences here on Earth. And then things began to change. As we know, our planet is changing, humanity is changing. There's a bigger need now for assistance, for humanity to grow and ascend. And so they began to feel like we needed to know they were available and what they had to offer humanity. So that they do work with us through our dogs, and they are very powerful, far-reaching, a collective of entities that connect with us through our dogs because we all love our dogs so deeply. It's got to be the only animal. I know cat people and horse people are going to shoot me, but it's got to be the only animal that's universally so deeply accepted by humans. And we just connect deeply to our heart with the dogs. And it's across the board, just about anywhere you go on the planet. There are a few areas where that's not true, but for the most part, most anybody you talk to has this deep connection with the dog in their life, the dogs in their life, and they will do anything for these dogs. And they absolutely love their dogs unconditionally, and they accept them unconditionally because we all know that our dogs accept us unconditionally. And it's because of this heart connection that the canine spirit guides are using the canines to connect with humanity, because that's the easiest way to connect with anybody is through the heart. So because of this deep connection, they're able to profoundly affect us easily if we allow them to. So this is why you feel like your dogs know so much more than they're letting on, and why they seem to just show up in the nick of time, even though you didn't know you needed them. And also sometimes why they leave when they leave. So they're sharing this with us now so that we can willingly and by choice connect with them, ask their assistance to help us heal as a race, as a human race, and to help us elevate our frequency. They're incredibly powerful.
Well, if you think about it, what I've been thinking about as I read your book is think about human evolution. Dogs evolved with us. We can find evidence of canines being with pre-human.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that they were with the caveman, basically, to make it into simple terms. That they evolved as a species with us. That's a deep connection.
Yes. Well, and animals, as we know them here, actually exist in other dimensions and on other planets, but in a completely different form than they do here.
Yeah, you have these great. Well, yeah, let's say, yeah. You have these the great graphic at the on the cover, and inside the book of the other animals. I love the pug with the eagle. By the way,
that's my dog's guide right now.
Our Bella was a puggle, but Asia was a black pug. What a character. But I love that little pug with the eagle. That is awesome. We're going to get into that because you have these 4 core spirit guides. We're going to get into that. I don't want to jump too far ahead of that, but and you kind of, these great graphics you got. Yeah, let me show you. Yes, I love that one. That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
I had to show that to my
That's
wife. She's like, that is so awesome.
Edit.
That is really awesome.
He's the most advanced of the core 4.
He had the longest name.
Yeah, he has three-part name that I had to get someone to help me with because I don't speak anything other than English. So I didn't know how. I could hear him say it, so I knew how to pronounce it, but I had no idea how to spell it.
Well, this journey for you, as I read your book, I realized it only started a year or so ago for you. You're fairly new to this, but can you give us a starting place? What guided you to all this?
Wow. It took me by surprise, much as it did probably my people reading my book. I didn't know that I was going to write a book. I didn't know I was psychic or that I was a channel. I just always felt like I was very intuitive, and I was led to find specific dogs throughout my life. I've had 30 personal dogs through my career as a dog trainer and my personal life. So I didn't really see this coming, even though it makes sense now. I didn't see it coming. I was
nobody usually does.
Yeah, I was a medical professional for 30 years. I was very science-based. I felt very attracted to the spirit realm, but it kind of intimidated me a bit. And I didn't want to be spiritual because I didn't want to be different. I didn't want to stick out. So during COVID lockdown, I received a message. I don't know if you've gotten to that part in the book yet. You might. It's during Nikki's section, so you might have read it.
Yeah, I just got to that. I got to part 2 of it, so I read some. I think I saw a little bit about that. Yes.
Yeah, so I found this very interesting thing in my yard, and it was a bit paranormal for all of you. All of this audience, you'll really love it. I don't know how many of you have seen a conjoined twin in real life. If you know what that is, I
have seen. Yes.
Have you?
Yes.
It's overwhelming if you've seen them in person. It really blew me away. But it's a Siamese twin. So I was walking in the yard with Nikki, and I found a conjoined squirrel, which was just blew me away. And I could tell that it had fallen probably 30 feet from the top of a tree. But anyway, just seeing the squirrel activated an energetic shift in me. And I didn't understand what it was at the time, but I just felt this wave of energy wash over me. And I knew profoundly that things were about to change for me. I didn't know what, I didn't know how, but somehow it was a predetermined signal. It was something I had been waiting on my entire life. And even though I couldn't understand it and I couldn't explain it, I knew something was about to happen. So I started to build a support team, trying to figure out what was happening with a clairvoyant shaman and a hypnotherapist and an astrologer and a numerologist. And through working with all of these people, I started to find my my direction. And one night, the shaman was reading my energy and was reading my soul's message for me. He said, "You're supposed to write a book." And I said, "What? I'm not a writer. What am I going to write about?" So I just started writing these random things because if you've read my book already, you know that there's a lot of really great stories in my life, right? I mean, it's not just about the dogs. I mean, I've lived a tragic yet an incredible life all at the same time. So I had a lot of stories I could write about. I had trouble narrowing down what I was supposed to write about. So one night I went into counsel with my personal spirit guides, and while I was dreaming. And during this dream, we were all discussing the book, and they kept throwing out these same three words. And I reached over and grabbed my journal and wrote down these three words and went right back to sleep. I never even opened my eyes when I did that. So when I woke up, I read my journal and it said Canine Spirit Guides. So I thought, oh, great. This is going to be easy. I'm just going to write about the great dogs of my life. Well, that began the journey. Like, that wasn't even what the book was about. So as I was writing the chapters about the dogs, they had me write the book in each section. So they had me write the dogs that were with the first guide, which I didn't know that's what it was at the time. But as I was writing the book, I was also learning to meditate, because through the meditation, I could get better guidance as far as what the book was supposed to be about and how to focus the pieces of the work. So through the meditation, the guide started to work with me energetically. And with each guide, which is the reason the book is sectioned off the way it is, each guide works with a certain level of healing, certain things that we need to grow from. So they all have their specialty. So I went in the exact order of the book, and I healed. The canine guides helped me heal completely during one or two meditations in that section. So I didn't understand that's what it was at the time until I went back. I got all four sections of the book written, one section for each canine guide. I sat down with it and I started to put all four of them together. And I went, wow. Like, I had no idea what the big picture was going to look like until I finished writing the book and I put it all together. And then I said, okay, show me, what does all this mean? What am I supposed to know about all this? Because it's not like I sat down to write a book and I already had an outline and I already knew what the complete story was going to be. I was walking through the story the same as you are when you're reading it. I had no idea what the point was. So when I sat down with all of it, they started to show me how things tied together. They showed me the tags that we talk about in the first two spirit guides, which are their emotional baggage that we carry around. And because of this emotional trauma, it attracts more of the same emotional trauma to us. So that has to be healed and cleared so that we'll no longer attract that to us. And that's what Anthea and Oscar deal with. They're the first two canine spirit guides. And then the third guide is a bit of a bump energetically higher than the first two. And so she helps us identify the masks that we wear around that prevent us from seeing ourselves. And they also falsely portray a version of us that we think we are, but we aren't, into the world. So these masks have to be identified and removed before you can even see who you truly are. And so once she does this, Oregon, then she will introduce you to your own soul, which I had never met before. So that was incredibly powerful. And then Damon Yadalan Eric, the eagle and the pug, he's the one that helps us to navigate between dimensions. He helps us integrate our past lives if we need to. And he helps us understand that we are interdimensional creatures. We're not just humans. We're not only here on Earth. We are everywhere. So it goes from, beginning to the divine. I mean, you start in one place and you go to another. And so the journey is real. So as I was writing the book, they were healing me through all these phases. And for each healing cycle, I could hear them louder. I could begin to see them. I could start to more easily channel the messages from them. So the more healed I got, the clearer the messages were. And that's kind of their point, is that once we go through the healing that we require, we can connect to ourselves so much better too. We can connect to our own spirit guides or our own higher self or our own divinity or other entities that are here to help us. So it's critical that we heal so that we can do all that. So that's kind of how it came about. I didn't know I could do all this. And after I wrote the book, that's when they told me, oh, well, the book is nice, but we really need you sharing this frequency and helping other people heal. So that's when I changed careers.
Really? Because you were
Yeah.
a physical therapist?
Yeah.
You know. So now
Yeah.
now you do this as a like I said, people see the canine spirit guides and they see canine and they think of my show and they think probably past that, I have had people on that like can communicate with your pet and all that. This is different. This is like the deeper meaning of why your pet's in your life and how it's here to help guide you. And like I
Yes.
said, I mean, this goes back to human evolution. I think I'm going to add in for the cat ladies out there, Jamie.
Well, like I was telling you with my
Yeah.
dad, and something my mom had noticed, that with all the different rescues, all the animals I've had, that cat seems to be like a soulmate to me, because you can have, animals, different people be that.
Yeah.
But he was definitely sent for a reason.
Well,
Yeah,
they,
your animals are part of your soul family.
Yeah,
So-
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That, I mean, look at the like in the occult areas of like the idea of cats being your familiar, or a witch having a familiar and stuff like that they talk about. Sadly they would burn and kill cats too back in the day for that, but poor cats. But that these animals, they even cats, they've evolved with us. They were scavenging around our early settlements of all that and getting more closer and familiar with humans, and then they became part of our family at some point in the part of human evolution. Both those animals, and you think wherever it is that drew us together, that if you look at the higher side of it, the interdimensional side, that there's this bigger picture, these connections. Like I said, I've seen it with cats and I've seen it with dogs. The way they come into your life and even the way they leave are these, I don't want to say predestined moments or anything like that, but there's something to it. There's weirdness and synchronicities that happen that I could go on all night about.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're about to read about some of those in the book, Jason.
Yeah.
And don't worry, all of the animal kingdoms are going to be coming through. They only started with the dog because of that heart connection we have with the dogs, with the canines, and they just figured that would be the easiest place to start to sort of break this to the people, because this is such a bizarre concept. People are really struggling with it. It took people long enough to accept the fact that dogs could talk to us, right? So now we're taking it to a whole nother level where we're going intergalactic with this, because the canine guides are actually the intergalactic communication from the animals. So this is something that's even more complex for people to understand. So once the concept is understood, more of the animal kingdoms are going to be coming through.
It's
So don't
funny,
worry, cats will come through.
It's funny you say the intergalactic. People refer to owls as being possibly, but again, I have a couple of cats that I swear it feels like they could be some sort of alien, like an owl.
Well, I will tell you, there is feline energy in 3 of these guides, because if you look at
The cover even, I mean.
yeah, the cover, because in the cover we've got the panther, and she's the 3rd guide. The 1st guide is Anthea, and she's the cheetah, and the 2nd guide is Oscar, and he's lion. So we're seeing already the feline. And the feline race it's actually a race of felines in Lyra, the Lyra constellation.
I was going to ask you about that. But is there a canine race? I knew about the Lyrians. I thought is there a canine race? Yeah.
Yes, there is.
What are they
Yes.
called?
They
I was
just
trying
call
to
them
remember that.
canines.
Just canines? Yeah, because
Yeah,
I was
just
like, I know
canines.
there's the Lyrians. I've heard of that, the Lyrians.
Yeah.
But yeah,
The
that's really
Lyran
interesting.
felines, yeah, and felines are feared and respected by all other races in the multiverse. That's how powerful they are.
I mean, look, the Egyptians used them to ward off evil spirits thousands of years ago.
Incredibly powerful. So don't despair. You'll have your cat day.
That's your next book
too. So I totally get it, because the dogs have a whole other level of just unconditionalness, and they will.
Cats are not unconditional.
Their life to you.
See, I'm one of those people, like, people die in a movie, I'm like, I don't care, but don't kill the dog. There's my sons begged me, and I'm gonna sound like a horrible parent. They wanted to see that Predator movie called Prey, and my wife, she's never seen a Predator movie, but I went and like got the the down low from the kids at work what happens in the movie. I'm like, all I need to know, all I need you to spoil for me is, does the dog die? Because then they're not watching it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, spoiler alert. The dog doesn't die. I'm gonna spoil that for everybody, but I was like, okay, and I know it's a violent movie, but it has like the whole premise of the movie. My wife loves that movie. Is this Native American girl, and that she takes on the predator, this little girl, but it's her and her dog, and it's badass. That dog is badass in that movie, and like I had to make sure the dog didn't die. That not the blood and guts. None of my kids aren't scared of any of that stuff. If the dog died, it would ruin the whole night. Or the week,
I watch the ID channel, and everything's fine, crime scene things. But if I even start, they're gonna go after the dog, I'll fast forward it, I'll stop it, I'll la 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 la, not to hear it.
Yeah.
Don't need to see it.
Well, certainly don't let that stop you from reading my book. You'll miss out.
No, but that's the thing. This is, like I said, when I told you before the show, when we were talking during the sound check, is that this is like a homage to your dogs too. It's like, to these personal relationships, but you're looking deeply and seeing things that I've noticed, and like I've always thought deeply about these spirit connections. I've thought about cats and the Lyrians, and like, are they like some kind of representative of them here on Earth to help us evolve? And same with the dogs. I mean, what better way to do it than use these animals that have become such a big part of our lives for thousands of years, and like I said, evolved with us. And I've seen men that are like and always jerks and they have a dog and they're like, oh, like it changes them. You can see it right there.
Yeah. Well, and Earth is the only place where animals are captive and owned and
sadly, it's
controlled
Earth
by other people. So that's new for some people to hear that, but they do
I don't know
that
how.
Right. But yeah. So it's interesting. I thought it just blew me away, and I've been a dog person my whole life. So this was quite shocking for me. So I can imagine how some people, especially if they're not animal people, would really struggle with the concept.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I've never understood people that are like, I want to say just, they're like, yeah, it's a dog. What do you care? Or like they can't see, like, have you ever looked into a dog or cat's eyes? I mean, cats, I will say this, I've always joked that they're like, yeah, I love you, but if I was big enough, I'd eat you. That's kind of look I get from cats, but they love you, My cat loves me. She follows me all over the house. But dogs, man, when you look in their eyes too, I mean, you see the personality and the soul in those eyes, and the facial expressions with dogs too, especially. My dog, Bella, I could read her thoughts. I swear to God, she could read my thoughts or it's just we're reading each other's facial expressions. She knew my expressions and I knew hers. And she would do this little thing when, like, we're trying to train. We adopted a rescue French bulldog named Kiki, and we're going to have training classes. We're trying to learn her signals to go, potty outside. Right, we're working on it. But Bella, man, that dog was so smart. She would just look at you and go like that. She'd like do this little mouth. She wouldn't bark at you or anything. Just like that. You knew what that meant. That meant I need to go. Yeah. And she was the master of breaking in or out of things. We tried to crate train her. She'd actually lift up the gate and flip it open.
Mm-hmm.
This is a puggle. I mean, she ate 6 of my Xbox controllers. I don't know. That's the spirit guy saying you're playing too much video games. Kiki's already eaten 1 controller. No, 2 controllers. So they're like, you're playing too much video games. That's what the spirit guides are telling me. But
They
you
do
know, like,
reflect what we need to know. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I wonder. I'm like, okay, you're just okay. That's what I was thinking when I read your book. The spirit guide's telling me I'm trying to play too much video games because Bella ate like 6 controllers and Kiki's on her second. You know. But it's like they are here as a part of our lives. They're family members, and until you own a dog, until you own a cat, you don't usually get it.
Right. Well, and sometimes it's not just owning a dog or cat. You have to have that very special one. Some people
True.
have had animals their whole life and they have never bonded with one deeply, you know? So, or, like I was raised with the dog chained to a doghouse. That's how my parents perceived dogs. I was like, no, that dog's coming in the house. You're going to have to change your rules.
Or, I
But,
mean,
you
there's
know,
people like my mother-in-law. She's a lovely, beautiful woman who loves people, and she does love animals, but they don't have pets. And she grew up on a farm.
Yeah.
I know her perspective on my dogs, and then she was one that's like, I think it's time to put them down years before we did. Her mentality is livestock. She grew up on a farm of livestock. That's just like her perspective, and I get it.
Yeah. 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 So those people who've never had that unique bond, it's really hard for them to understand. And what's so interesting is that, animals, when they come here, they begin in this baby soul. They begin, all animals come in as a collective soul. So they don't have their own individual soul until humans bond with them. So if you have a baby dog soul, you have a dog that is real, what I call gamey, like is just, the typical dog. He's more interested in dogs than he is you. He doesn't clearly understand the pack. He wants to chew on your stuff, pee on your stuff. He just kind of goofy and doesn't really make the connection between you and him. That's a young soul dog that is only identifying with the animal group. They're not really truly understanding that you are not part of that animal group. So as you interact with a dog like that, you have the opportunity to help that dog's soul mature into its own individual soul. It sort of earns its stripes, so to speak, as you give it love and share that unconditional love with that dog, that animal spirit. Then it begins to understand. It begins to go, oh, the light bulb sort of goes on, and it develops its own unique individual soul at that point, and it begins to separate itself from the dog collective. So we help each other in a way, and you will, if you've had a number of dogs, you will start to notice that some of them are just dogs, and others are these really powerful, all-knowing dog souls. And you can tell the difference between the two. And the latter is the one that's had a few incarnations and has already...
I felt about Bella, my first dog, yes.
Yeah, and so they've already developed their own unique soul. And chances are, too, they're part of your soul family. So they are in your life for a purpose, and they're attempting to help hold you on track with why you're here. So again, that's separate than the canine guides, but that's how the dog's soul develops.
Do they when you say that, do you mean that they do incarnate with you in other incarnations? Like they come back.
Yeah.
That's what I hope. I hate to say, like I want to see Bella on the other side. I'm hoping in Asia when I get there. And
Kiki, she never leaves you.
Right.
No,
trust me. Oh yeah, I got those stories.
Beside you now, yeah.
Oh, I got those stories. Oh yeah. Oh man. Oh, I get chills thinking about it. I mean, Asia, we would hear Asia's snore weeks after her passing, and like this little snore she had. And Bella, I would feel her, and all that stuff. And at times, I started to feel them again when we brought Kiki in the house during Christmas. When we first brought them in, like they were here again to like welcome her. I know that the people are like, ew, flaky. I'm like, screw you. That's how I felt, and because I think deeply, and I feel like, and I love the description about how they evolve with our own love and attention as a soul. And I agree. I've seen some dogs that are just, it's not there, I guess. I don't know. I get what you mean by like some
Yeah,
dogs are just
they're
dogs.
just dogs. They're just everyday normal dogs. There's nothing really special
But
about
there's
them. I'm
certain
not saying
dogs
to
that
be
are
mean,
like,
but
yeah,
yeah,
there's a
they're
bigger
they're just like
personality.
animals. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
those
Asia
are dogs
too.
that are really hard to live with.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah.
But if you
Even
take them
Asia, my
on and
pug, was getting that way. She had her own little personality, big personality. She had a big personality, but I've seen other pugs. I'm like, they're just like,
yeah, they're real
you know,
dopey.
really
Yeah.
dopey. I'm like, but, and I love pugs. Don't get me wrong, but I've met a few. I'm like, I just don't feel that, But I've met other pugs. I'm like, you're like my Asia. Oh my god, I want to take you home.
Yeah,
Like they
yeah.
got that same personality.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are the special ones. And you can tell, like, now that you know the difference, you're probably going to have all special ones. Once you
I think
cross
Kiki
that
is. Oh my
threshold.
god, this dog is very special. She is a love bug like we needed a dog. My wife, I give all credit to my wife on this because she stalked Kiki on the Hoosier Rescue Bulldog page for months and months and months. On there, all the little cute outfits they put her in, all this stuff, and she kept waiting for the application time to come. But she definitely found, because we got a dog. You want to talk about that? That actually experienced that. We got a dog that earlier that summer ruined our summer because Dad did not truly listen to his wife, even though she repeated several times that she didn't want a big dog and she didn't want a puppy.
Mm-hmm.
My stipulation, I didn't care what dog it was. I just wanted a rescue.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want a breeder. I don't want any of that. I want to rescue a dog that was found on the street, and we're going to give it a home. That was my stipulation. So I listened to my first stipulation. I found a dog. Her name was Jade. Her name is Jade. And she was like a pit bull mix and way big and a total puppy, like 5 months old. Big mistake. Did not mesh well with the family at all. And she was definitely a dog, saying.
Yeah.
And I mean, she was good. I felt it was heartbreaking. My wife we only lasted a week, and I had to work. My wife had to take her back, and the boys went. It was awful. It ruined our whole summer.
Oh.
So much credit to my wife for finding Kiki. This dog is immediately the perfect dog. I feel like she's like weird. Me and my wife talk about this all the time. I'm sorry. If you people aren't getting into the dog and cat conversation tonight, I'm sorry. You're at the wrong show. But me and my wife keep talking about, like, she's like a perfect mixture of Bella and Asia. My son, yeah. My son Liam, like, he's gone to therapy because of this whole thing with Bella and Asia's passing. And every time he's too tired and break down, he'd be like, I miss Bella and Asia. And so getting a dog was part therapy for him, and even Dean, who's much, he's 12, but I know it affected him hard, my biggest worry is this dog going to bond with Dean, my oldest son. Like Liam, he's like his mother. Like every animal comes to him that don't usually go to other people.
Mm-hmm.
They'll go to Liam, just like they do to my wife. My wife's the same way. Like pets love my wife. They love my son, Liam. Me and Dean, not so, all right, but not like they do with them. So like, I knew it needed to bond with him. If it bonded with me or not, I didn't care. I wanted my family to be happy. This dog bonded with everybody within the first car trip, even with the stinky French bulldog farts all the way there, because it was like a 2-hour drive. She was cuddling with them. Like, she is so affectionate. I was afraid she wasn't going to be affectionate because, she was found on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
She'd been bred young, I think. They say she's 3 to 5. I think she's more like 3. But the first night I took a picture of her just with her head right up on Liam's shoulder. This is the most cuddly dog I've ever had in my life. And that's what we needed. We needed lots of cuddles in this family.
Yeah.
We needed this kind of like, just love me. That's what she wants. Just love me. I'm going to somebody's lap. Who's taking me? There's like, Bella would be like, pet me, hold me for a little bit. Okay, I'm done with you. Thank you. I'm going to go lay over here. That's how Bella was. She would just look at me like, can we go? Are we done with the petting? I'm good.
Yeah.
Bye. And Asia's like, are we going to the vet? Every time you pick her up, she thinks something's going on. Like the pug, scary look, But she would cuddle. She would, curl up. Asia was my total cuddle bug. So I needed this. This is like the perfect mixture. She's got Asia's cuddle bugness, but she's got Bella's like craziness, like the crazy personality and stuff Bella would do, and the genius Bella had, So it's like I said, it's like I believe there's these personalities that dogs have, and you can tell it when they do and when they don't. Like it happened this summer, and I feel guilty as hell still about it, but it just was not a fit for our family, and luckily my wife did very much better at picking a dog than I did.
Women tend to be good at that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'll never do it again. Never again. I told my wife, I'm done. It's all on you now, honey. It's all on you. I screwed up. She blamed herself because she was like, I did the worst thing. I had the people come over with Jade and like introduced to the family, and my wife saw how excited the boys were, and she didn't want to be the bad guy. And I put her in that spot. And she blames herself. I'm like, I put you in the worst spot. I did the stupidest husband thing ever. Like, here's a dog. Yeah, we can't say no to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Live and learn.
Live and learn.
Found me.
I just hope Jade got a good home and like people can deal with that personality and she grows, because I hate it. It was like I said, ruined her whole summer. But that's what I'm saying. It's like you got to find the right dog, right personality. Please get rescues, people. There's plenty of them. I just couldn't do a big dog. I just could not. After that, I was like, I won't do a big dog. We won't do a big dog. We don't live in a big house. But thank God. But your stories of your dogs in this, and in each one, like, so they have these 4 core, because we're going to go commercial break in about 10 minutes, and we'll continue on with this. But I want to get into what these 4 core guides are and, like, how they relate to, like, it seems like you said, you discovered it as you wrote about how one dog had that, how 2 dogs you've had shared the same kind of core spirit guide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So as I wrote the book, I knew there are 10 of my dogs in the book. And these 10 dogs are ironically 4 dogs reincarnated. And so one of each belonged to one of the core 4 spirit guides. So Anthea is the first dog in the book, or the first canine spirit guide in the book. And she came to me 3 times, 3 different dogs, which I didn't know until I was writing the book. And what Anthea does is she helps to connect us with our pure divine joy and self-love. And this is not probably what you think you've experienced as joy and love. It's a whole nother level. We're talking divine source energy here. So it's really hard for most people to even conceive of what this means, because I know, even as damaged as I was, it was way different level of joy and love than I ever expected it to be. And she just makes it easy. And the second canine spirit guide is Oscar. And he is the lion and the black and tan coonhound. And he is all about getting us reattached to our voice. He works a lot around the throat area, because so many of us don't understand how to use our voice, or we've become disconnected from our voice, and so we can't really effectively speak our truth. And he also helps us with our power and our courage. So you'll see stories in my book about how I was so defeated as a child. I couldn't even carry my own power or my own courage. And my dog with Oscar was carrying it for me and just holding it until I could take it back. And he was also assisting me with my voice in a very unique way. So that was a really fun story to tell. And then the third one, Oregon, she's the one on the cover of the book, the black the Black Panther and the Basenji. And she's my favorite, which is why she's on the cover of the book.
Yeah, I wondered.
But,
I love that picture, though.
And you might have been able to tell by the stories that she was the most profound in my life. She was a very incredible dog. And these dogs that Oregon works with are usually the once in a lifetime dogs. They have an incredible bond with their people. And these are dogs that that you look at them and you just know that there's something special, there's something magnificent about them. Their energy comes at you before you even see the dog. They are incredible magicians, is probably the only way I can put it. But she, like I explained earlier, is all about helping you identify the masks that you hide behind and clearing that for you so you can clearly see who you are. You're not afraid to go out into the world and project who you truly are. And then also, because you have that clarity now, you'll be able to be divinely connected to your soul, which is incredibly powerful and immense. And I tell several stories in the book about meeting my own soul for the first time. And then Eric is the fourth of the core four. And like we mentioned before, with the bald eagle and the pug, which is a really strange combination. But the bald eagle helps us balance between realms. So between the spirit realm and the physical realm, they're very good, talented at being able to balance between the two and support both of them simultaneously. So this guide is the one that gave me my interdimensional self. I didn't know anything about aliens. I didn't know anything, and I hate to call them aliens because really they're my family. I come from the intergalactic races, and
like
so I didn't
the
know
star
anything.
seed.
Yeah, I'm a star seed. There are more star seeds on the planet now than non-star seeds.
I always
but
felt I was an alien. Seriously. Everybody knows me if I've always said it.
Yeah, you kind of know that you are because you just know you don't fit. But
Exactly.
because of his help, I was able to very quickly remember all of this and develop my skills at projecting my consciousness to other dimensions. And he helped me do this through writing the book. So that's what he does with my clients is when they're ready to know and it's time for them to know, he'll tell you where you're from and he'll help you get there and help you find your way back and develop the skills that you came here to share so that you can complete your mission here. But yeah, the four of them are really unique, and there are 50 in total. So this is just the first book. This is just the core four. Yeah. So the core four are all about getting the hard stuff out of the way. They're all about looking deeply into the core meaning of your life or your mission or your pain, whatever it might be.
This is like having like 4 archangels, and then you have like the lesser angels kind of deal.
Oh, no, the others aren't lesser. No.
No. Okay, not lesser. I don't know.
They're only going to go up from here. So, but they all have different roles and they all have different skills and different things to offer us. So, the core four is all the hard stuff. It's the stuff that we don't want to do. We don't want to look at ourselves. We don't want to do the shadow work because we think it's going to be hard. But what they do is they bring advanced technology to us to make it really easy and instant. So that's what I do with my clients is as whatever spirit guide, canine guide wants to work with them will be based on what they need at that moment and what they need to move forward on their journey. So they'll provide them with that healing session after they tell them all about themselves. So it's really incredible.
So yeah, you have clients, that reach you out through your website, and so you kind of go through this like reading. Are you reading them, like reading their kind of the spirit guide attached to their dog? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. So I read them before I meet with them, and what I'll do is I'll gather information from the canine spirit guides about their journey and what they need to know right now. And they can also send me questions they might have or specific things they're struggling with, and I'll ask those questions for them too. And so sometimes it's about a past life that needs to be integrated. Sometimes it's about people in their life currently or dogs in their life currently. It just depends on that person as far as what is brought up to their attention. And then, so when I meet with them, I share what they've told me. And then in the last half of the session, the canine guides, there'll be one guide that chooses to work with them. And that guide will come through energetically and help them clear what needs to be cleared or heal what needs to be healed so that they can move forward on their journey very quickly. So instead of going to therapy for 10 to 20 years and writing affirmations and, and trying to figure out who was responsible for hurting you, where and when, and spending so much of your life focusing on what's wrong, the canine spirit guides come in with their advanced spiritual technology and they just eradicate what is blocking you. And so you can easily elevate to the next level very quickly. And that's exactly what I did when I wrote the book. The book only took me 6 months to write. And I didn't know
That's
what I was
really quick.
writing. That's very fast. And that's how fast my healing was. And I mean, you've read, Jason, where I've come from. You've read what I've had to deal with in my life. And now all of that is completely healed, all of it. And I struggled my entire life to find ways to heal those parts of myself because I knew I was broken. I knew I had trauma, and nothing would solve it for me until the canine spirit guides came in and just took it. They just removed it.
I mean,
So
yeah,
that's
your
what-
book really is like a journey of how these different animals came into your life and affect you, and then you looking deeply about their connections. You know,
Yeah.
especially when you look at the animals that you can recognize the spirit of that animal in another one. It's like the whole reincarnation. I mean, like I said, I'm not to bring up cats, but I mean, we had a weird experience with my family. We had our first cat was Patches. And when she died, I had seen her come to me in the moonlight of my room. I could hear her purring and see her. So I was convinced then. I mean, I always felt that dogs and cats have souls, but I could like see her, But like 6 months later, June 6th, during the Bulls sixth championship, this cat shows up at our back door. We were watching TV, watching the Bulls championship. Shows right up at our back door, looks through it. I mean, we all jumped because she looked just like Patches, except that Patches was short hair and she was long hair, but she had the same almost markings, just different kind of hair.
There you go.
And so my dad, weeks later, I said, "Don't you bring that damn cat in the house. Don't you bring that damn cat in the house." I tell my dad. And then he spent a few weeks, and then my mom and him, like, finally got her, and I came home, found out he brought her in, gave her a bath. I'm like, oh, not this again. And that cat was something else too, but like I said, I always felt like Patches or something brought her to you. And I feel that's the way with the dogs, like the dog spirit, whatever, leads you in a direction to get the next dog sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And they know they're part of our soul family. So they know what we need when we need it. And that's when they show up. And also that's when they leave. And you haven't gotten to the hardest stories yet, but there are stories about why my dogs have left when they have. Some of them leave very quickly at a very young age, and yet I get them back again. But it's also revealed why they had to leave.
Yeah.
And there's always a reason.
I'd like to get into that a little bit if you can hang around after this commercial break.
Yeah.
We'll open the phone lines. We can get into that. I'd like to get into some of the past life stuff. If you've got some examples, in the book and that with yourself or even clients. But we're going to go to commercial break and open up the phone lines. When we come back, guys, we get to talk to our guest, Heather Leigh Strom. We're talking about her book tonight, Canine Spirit Guides, when we come back from the short commercial break.
An experiment into the combined effects of sensory deprivation and hallucinatory drugs. The subject of the experiment is himself, and the experiment is out of control. Ken Russell's Altered States, a film that must not be missed, is in the West End now. Altered States, Certificate X.
Do you wish for more paranormal and spiritual content? The Paranormal Chronicles magazine is a free digital magazine crammed with the very best in paranormal and spiritual articles and features. No sign-up, no subscription, just free reading and knowledge for you. Read today at www.paranormalchronicles.com/magazine.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Paranation Magazine is a new paranormal magazine based out of Denver, Colorado. Our goal isn't just to give you the best paranormal content out there, but to promote paranormal unity. We're doing this by giving everyone an opportunity to tell their stories and to share their experiences. For more information, follow us on Facebook at Paranation Magazine and soon, paranationmag.com.
I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is the extraordinary travels of a young, alone, and broke psychic in the highly anticipated new book from internationally renowned psychic, medium, medical intuitive, and best-selling author Sherry Dillard. Critics have described I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like as an engrossing memoir, an empowering story of how a broken girl came to accept her psychic gift, a refreshing and fun read. I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is available through Amazon, Kindle, Barnes & Noble, and wherever books are sold.
Wrote Spirits of the Dead with a pen dipped in warm blood. You will see the ultimate in terror with this important all-star cast. Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda in Edgar Allan Poe's Spirits of the Dead. Only Poe's demented genius could bring to the screen such horror and evil. Spirits of the Dead stars Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda. Directed by three masters of the cinema, Federico Fellini, Louis Malle, and Roger Vadim. Spirits of the Dead is an adventure in terror beyond your wildest nightmares. Spirits of the Dead in color is rated R.
So they're okay. So, does anybody want to play Parcheesi? Okay, who brought the dog?
You're listening to Paranormal Soup, bringing you the weird every Sunday night. Call into the show and join the discussion. The call-in lines are 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419 or by Skype caller ID 00JBland00 or JBland Paranormal Soup. And now to your host, Jason Bland.
Tonight's guest is Heather Leigh Strom. She's the author of Canine Spirit Guides, The Healing Power of Man's Best Friend. And, you guys have heard my journey these 8 years with the dogs I've owned, Bella, Asia, and their passing, and you're the story I told her tonight. I'm a firm believer in animals, dogs, cats, that they have these souls, these personalities, and they're family members. I believe they reincarnate with us. I don't have any proof of that, or just a feeling I've always felt that they're a big part of our lives, so much more than we realize. And that's why I really am enjoying Heather's book, Canine Spirit Guides. Definitely got to check it out tonight. We got a little bit longer with her. I don't know how long we're going to have her tonight, but we are going to open up the phone lines. You can call in, ask questions of our guests tonight. But let's go ahead and get back to the show. Thank you for staying in there with us, Heather. Let me make sure the phone lines are open. They are now open. Let me get the banners up and rolling. Call in the show. Join the conversation. All right. So I am interested in a couple things we've been talking about tonight. You've been mentioning is the reincarnation aspect of the, how, what is your own experiences with that? Like, you've had some past life regression, your experiences, even maybe some of what you've seen as clients. I'm interested in, this, I guess, in the big picture of how their journey with us, not just in one lifetime, but in several lifetimes, and this relationship, how it works.
Yeah. So I didn't really get into like the reincarnation of the dogs as other animals, but that does happen as well, because I know that Apache, which was the dog through Oregon, the dog on the cover, Apache did tell me that she had been with me in ancient Egypt as a Black Panther. I had her as a pet, as a companion.
Wow.
And she's also my Black Panther spirit animal. So she is with me all the time. And I know that my corgi here that's sound asleep, the only dog I have right now, she is one of, she works with Eric. And she has shown me in a vision that she has been with me before she was a falcon that I used to hunt with. And I did remember this life during one of my...
falconeer?
Yeah, I was a falconeer. And she also showed me that she was a horse that I rode into battle. And we communicated telepathically, and that's how we did so well in our battles. So I know that the animal kingdom, the animals that we have here, have been with us a long, long time. So it's not just that we have dogs that are reincarnating in this lifetime.
Yeah.
But like I said, they're part of our soul family. And that means that, people search for their soulmate all their life. But the thing is, in your soul family, you have 144 soulmates within your soul family. So the animals are also part of this soul family. And you have that deep connection with all of the members of your soul family, whether it's romantic or not. And I did reveal a number of people, a couple of people in my life in the book that were also part of my soul family that I just had this connection with, and they revealed themselves to me as I was writing the book. So sometimes you have connection with people, not just animals too, but people that you can't explain. And that doesn't mean that it's always a heavenly relationship. Sometimes our soul family will come in to help teach us a very hard lesson, because they're very devoted to why we're here, to our mission here. So our soul family can be the bad guys sometimes. So it's important to understand that. And when you get to the end of the book, you'll see a really big aha moment as far as that's concerned. Because
I think that's a hard part for people to accept. There's a lot of hard things for people to accept in reincarnation. I've seen, the idea that not that, that things are predestined, but there's paths that are destined in a sense, and roles people have to play that are part of your soul group. That some people that are part of your soul group are the people that, that guy's a, like that guy was awful to me, or that we choose our own parents. Not everybody has the greatest parents, and that's a hard one for people to swallow. Like I chose them,
Yeah. And that's what was so liberating for me. The people that I hated the most in my life, that I thought were the meanest to me, when I finally understood and I got the guidance that they did it because I asked them to. That was what I asked them to come in here and do for me. That was the most liberating truth I had ever heard. And when you can finally understand that, and not just know it cognitively, but when you can emotionally and spiritually embrace that, and you can really love these people for who they were to you, and same for the animals too, then that's progress. That's evolution right there. That's
I grew
spiritual
up.
ascension.
If I think about it, I grew up, my earliest days, I was like 2 years old living at my aunt's house, with me and my mom had stayed with my aunt, and she had a black Labrador named Gypsy, and the cat's name was Chow, I think. And they were black cat, black dog, and my mom would be like, "Where's Jason? Oh my God!" And she'd find me in the closet curled up with the dog and the cat. The dog ended up biting my face when I was like 2 years old by accident, because the cat would attack it and thought I was the cat and snip my face. But it was an accident, and the dog, I guess, didn't eat for days afterwards. Like, was upset. Even the dog was upset. So I guess I've been destined in my life to know that I've had this relationship with dogs and cats. Even though I was 2 years old, I remember that both those pets. It was my earliest memories of pets. Yeah,
That's impressive to remember that far back.
I mean, I did get bit in the face. That kind of scars you a little bit. But I wasn't afraid of Gypsy. Still, even after that, I don't think. I mean, don't have a fear of dogs. I love dogs.
That's great.
Because you knew it wasn't malicious.
Yeah. Well, I was 2. Who knows what I knew? But but it probably was explained to me by my aunt. My mom was like, "Oh, Gypsy didn't mean to do that." But it's just like these animals. I believe Gypsy and Chow, they probably had a connection to me. They imprinted on me. Saying this want to always have like a dog or a cat.
Yeah.
Or both, which is like I have now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Luna, me and my wife say when she passes, she's 16 years old, Siamese. Like, we're never going to find another cat like her, is what we keep telling each other. Like, we're never going to find another cat like this, like that personality. That's how we feel. Like, that's what's going to hurt the most.
Yeah.
Because you were talking about the passing and the moments and the reasons they choose. We can get into that a little bit, because that's the hardest part about why I waited 3 years to get another dog. Is like I really didn't want to for so long because I don't want to go through it again.
Yeah. So you've had quite a few fewer dogs than I have. So I've had 30 of my own personal dogs, and that's not counting the dogs I trained and the dogs I bred and sold and whatnot. So I've probably had over hundreds of dogs go through my hands. But as you go through life, there's no way to get through life without going through some loss, of course. And so one thing that they showed me when I was writing this book, because a lot of times, matter of fact, I've only had one personal dog that lived past 7 years old. So I started to take it personally. I thought there was something wrong with me.
That's hard.
And that's one reason why I didn't get into this in the book, but that's one reason why I kept rehoming my dogs before they reached 7. I wanted them to live. And I thought if they stayed
You felt you were
with me,
cursed?
yeah, I thought if they stayed with
Really?
me, they
Oh
wouldn't
my
live.
God.
So, I've taken a lot of flack from some of my reviews I've gotten because
I'm not going to give you
hang on
flack.
to
My heart,
dogs.
my heart breaks for you that
Yeah.
you've done that, that you feel like you have to do that.
I sacrificed my own happiness to give them their happiness, to make
Well,
sure
if I
they
thought something was going to happen to my
survive.
dog after 7 years old, I'd do the same thing.
Yeah.
I would do the same thing. I would want to make sure that, okay, well, I'll get him in a better home if I'm cursed or something like that.
Yeah.
I hope you can
Yeah.
break that. Or you feel
it's
like
not, it wasn't true. It wasn't true.
Yeah.
My last dog, Nikki, she ended up being 13.
There you go.
So, a lot of it had to do with some of those tags that I needed to remove because I didn't feel like I was worthy. And I felt like I was persecuted my entire life. And so I didn't feel like I deserved to be happy. So I had these incredible dogs and I didn't feel like I deserved them. So part of it was that too. So once I was able to identify and dissolve the tags, which is what happened during Nikki's final year, I was able to break that pattern. But see, we continue the patterns until they're broken. So if you don't know you have a pattern, then you continue to operate within that pattern. So that's why it's so critical with the work that these canine guides are doing, is because a lot of things we don't know about ourselves, they can tell us, and they can help us resolve it and heal it quickly so we can move on. But yeah, so that was a part of the reason why I kept rehoming my dogs. And once I got to, Tori's the first dog in the book, and she was the dog that I finally said, okay, I'm doing this. I'm committed for the rest of my life. I want to grow old with this dog. And she died anyway.
Yeah.
But the point that they showed me, the reason they showed me what they did, and the reason I lost dogs when I did was for a specific purpose, and that was explained with each dog. So sometimes the dogs would die very suddenly without much notice whatsoever. Tori, I had 3 days notice before she died. For Mo, which was a Shetland sheepdog, which you'll get into in the last part, I didn't have much more notice with him. His was a little bit more gradual, but it wasn't obvious that it was terminal until
Yeah.
pretty close to the point. But the reason they have to leave, and there's a great illustration in the book, is because the energy has to shift. So they've been in your life working and churning and setting you up for certain experiences, certain interactions, certain connections that you need to make, opportunities for spiritual growth and human growth and maturity. And you get to a certain point where there needs to be a shift. And sometimes you're not going to make the shift, the energetic shift, unless they step out. So because of this heart connection, because we feel for them so strongly, when we grieve for them, it opens this massive cavern within us, and it opens our soul up very deeply. And for a lot of people, this is the only chance they get to dig in deep, right? Because we're absolutely raw when we lose them. And because of this access, they pretty much provide a portal of access to our deeper soul. Because we have this access, we have the potential to grow exponentially right then and there. So they do us a favor because they know what's coming next in our journey. They know what we need to prepare for. And so sometimes you'll see dogs step out of my life because I need to maybe not have a dog in my life and I need to be able to travel. So, and there's a story in my book where the dog left because I had to meet my husband.
Well,
And
there
if
you
he
go.
hadn't have stepped out of the way, I wouldn't have done all the steps I needed to do to
Yeah.
find my husband because he was in a whole nother state. So, and then as soon as I did find my husband, the dog reincarnated in another dog and came back. So, there's always a reason. And that's why I tell people, don't be sad. Let's figure out what the message is. Because once you understand the message, then
I've
you're no
wondered that
longer.
on a few.
What's that?
I've wondered that on a few because I've gone through so many rescues, and it's a revolving door, and there's the life, there's the death with it, and the death sometimes seems to come at really specific times sometimes. And
With cats, especially, man. Cats are just like
sometimes they'll
fine
even
one moment
wait
and there's
to make sure I'm
gone.
there with them
Yeah.
before they go. But
Well, and some of them won't
really
want you there
weird
either.
times.
Some of them will want to be alone.
Yeah, a lot of cats like to go find a spot and hide and die.
I was
But-
afraid with the 4
dogs.
kittens, because they were inbred and had all these issues. I didn't want somebody else to have to go through all that. So I kept all the kittens myself. And it turns out the one that I was the most scared of is the one that has now outlived the kittens and the mother. But every one of them, they passed at a really odd time.
Yeah. And there's always a reason for it. There's a purpose. It's divine timing. No joke. Absolute divine timing for any time that anyone arrives in this planet and anyone departs from this planet. So there's always a message and there's always a purpose. And that's that really helps if we can tune into that.
So I've even felt it before it's happened. Like I would know everybody would be fine,
yeah.
but I would get this feeling, and I'm like, someone's going to pass. Like, oh, it's got to be, probably this one or whatever. And I just knew somebody was going to pass, and then eventually one of them would pass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No,
Well, you're picking up on the messages.
Yeah.
one of the
I'll
times
never-
it was actually my dad, not the cats. He turned out to be like terminal, but I get those pickup.
Yeah.
My dad, who's pretty scientifically kind of guy, skeptical stuff and all that. But I remember as a kid, him telling me his story of like you know, he believes in the possibility of psychic abilities and stuff. He's really into quantum physics, and one of the examples he gave me is like the experience he had is I'm not a big fan of having pet birds. Nothing against people who do. I wouldn't. My wife would never allow to have a pet bird, but my dad had a macaw, I think it was.
Oh, wow.
And I think it was a macaw. I can't remember. It was some kind of parrot or something like that. And he had this dream where he woke up and the bird was dead in its cage. Immediately after waking up from that dream, he gets up and goes, and there's the bird dead in its cage.
Oh.
You know, for my dad's scientific mind, he's got a very much one. You know, it was just like it bugged the hell out of him. You know, like how can I dream of this? Why? And then see that, you know, he goes to the like quantum physics and science and all that. But I'm like, but I think it was like the birds saying goodbye to you, like in a way. I don't know.
Well, and he
But-
was astro traveling there. He was with the bird when he died.
Yeah, a lot of people do. I think I've had visions of the future, like I talked about my dog a year before. You know, like, and I said I thought that was a way to prepare me, let me know what the time has come, and to prepare me to recognize the dream I would have about Asia, and to put her down before we got to that
Not
point,
to make
you
that
know?
mistake again. Yeah.
Right. That's what it did. Let me knew like Bella had the most peaceful in that dream. It showed me she had the most peaceful passing I could have asked for my dog. Couldn't ask for a more peaceful setting for her. And showing me that made me realize I want that for Asia, and not to have that other dream where it was not peaceful. It was horrible. So she got that, you know. But it's always a hard decision. That's one of the hardest ones is when you like. You're at with I mean, it's hard when they're young, and there's some problem you get fixed. That's super hard, you know, really hard because they should have a longer life. But even it's hard when they get elderly. It's like, is it the time? Am I doing the right thing? Because we don't put our people down. You know, we don't do that to people.
My mom
you know?
just had to do her cat the other day, and she was just not breathing right, and it was like the same thing where she feels.
I mean, we know deep down it's a mercy. You know, we don't want them to suffer, or be in
I
pain,
can't
but
stand
it's
to
still
see him suffer. And I've told my husband not to let me suffer either. I have a very specific living will, and I don't want to be on machines. I don't want anybody keeping me around because they're too chicken to let me go.
Yeah,
that's
we've
not
been through
fair.
that with family members. Yeah, my big fear is Alzheimer's. I had two grandparents with Alzheimer's, or at least one was dementia, maybe. And I'm like, tell my wife, I'm like, it comes down to that. I start, you know, forgetting who I am and all that. Find a way, euthanasia. I don't know. Take me out back and do me in.
I don't want my animals.
I don't want to live that way. I don't want to live that way. You know. So you know, and that's what I said. Like Bella had a stroke. You know, in the middle of the night, I heard stramping around, and I go and find her like under the kitchen table, like stuck under a chair, and then I could tell she's like looking in the corner of the wall, like she's not there anymore.
It's the quality of
she's
life,
not there.
and we have to do it for them, not for us.
Yeah.
I
So
could
we
tell
can't
her soul
avoid the
left her.
pain, you know?
Yeah, I could
lot of
honestly
people-
see that it like her color changed. It's like overnight her fur and her color and everything just changed after the stroke. It's like part of her left already.
Aged. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what happens. That's what happens with dementia. That's what happens with Alzheimer's. That's actually a case, and strokes. That's actually a case of where the soul is partially leaving the body and going back to source and visiting. That's why they act so different. That's why they change. That's what Alzheimer's is about. It's the people who aren't wanting to say goodbye because they're afraid to leave, yet they don't want to be here. So they're actually visiting the divine. In the moments where they come back and they're lucid, they're coming back to their body. And when they go back to the dementia part, the dementia stage, they're leaving again. So my mom,
I believe
went
that
through this.
100%.
My mom went through this, and I'd say, "Mom, where are you?" And she would actually have a walk-in. She had somebody that she had agreed to come and take her place so she
Really?
could leave because she didn't want to be here. So I would recognize her walk-in because her walk-in did not like me at all. and I didn't like him. So
It was like a
he would
him?
say- it was
Like,
a
it was
him.
that much of a personality shift.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And he would say, "You don't have to call me every day," because I called my mom every day.
Yeah.
And so I'd say, "Okay, Mom, your walk-in is back, and I think you need to come back because I don't like it." So she would hear me, and that night she'd go to sleep, and then she'd come back in her body. The next day she was fully there. I said, "What happened?" She goes, "I told him to leave. I got this."
She'd say that?
Yeah.
Wow. That is
She wouldn't
so
be
interesting.
aware of it until I would bring her attention to it, and then she would
But yeah,
take
but
care
she
of it.
responded to you on it.
She responded, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean-
there's a lot to be learned there, I think.
My grandfather, had a very distant kind of relationship with because of my father's absence. But he came down with dementia, and they put him in a home south of me, and I never got to visit him. But according to my aunt, who would go down there and visit him quite often, the day he died, I know people have heard my stories, but the day he died, she would always roll him up to this window, and he hadn't spoken in 2 years. He was just dead silent, would not talk. He was that gone. She would always roll him up to this window to look at the scenic view. She seemed to think he liked it. So she rolled him up to the window, and he suddenly laughed and goes, "Life's a joke." And she said a few hours later, he was gone. And that's bothered the hell out of me ever since she said that story. She's gone now. She died. So I can't ask her anymore about it. I just heard it when I was at her husband, my uncle's funeral. She told me this story. But it'll bother me all this day, like, what that meant. Life's a joke. And he laughs after
Well, it's
2
it's
years of
an
not saying
illusion.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's basically what he is saying, is that life
Yeah.
is an illusion. Life's a joke.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
not real.
Yeah, but divine words from and like I said, me and him had a weird relationship. I had a meditative experience where I felt like I talked to him on the other side. It was really, really powerful. But people go through their lives on autopilot a lot, and they don't think about these relationships. And that's what I really value about your book, because not only don't think about the relationships between them and other people, they definitely a lot of times don't think about the relationships between them and their pets and these animals.
Yeah.
And the meaning, the
Yeah.
deeper meaning of them.
Yeah, the deeper meaning and the purpose. I mean, because people just perceive dogs as animals, stupid animals, right? And they're actually, the animal races and other dimensions are much more evolved than humanity is. So we're the underdogs here, not the animals. They're only playing a role so that we have the opportunity to heal and grow and learn. I mean, we're here for this experience. We came here for this by choice.
So, with your clients, what are some of the situations you've had, or can you give us some examples where you made the connections for them that really helped move them in the right direction?
Yeah, so there was one client I had recently. When I did a reading, I got that there was a twin involved. And I don't know, when I do readings, all I have is a person's name. I don't know anything about them. I don't even know where they live. So I got that there was a twin, and so I asked the canine guides to say, okay, is this a real twin? Is this a vanishing twin? Is this like a spirit twin? What's going on here? And they kept saying vanishing twin, womb. There was something about the womb. I said, okay, I'll ask her about this. And then Anthea was choosing to work with her, and Anthea kept showing me I don't know if everybody knows the chakras, but you have the root, and then the you sit on the root, and then you have the sacral, and then the solar plexus, and then the heart. Well, she kept pointing out the sacral and the solar plexus, and then also the heart. And so she said there's something that needs to be done here, and that's what she's going to be working on. And I can't remember what else. Oh, there was an ancestral connection there, and a family pattern that needed to be dissolved. And I said, okay. So they don't give me like every little detail, because they want the client to make the connection. And then once I talk to the client about it, we usually have a pretty clear picture of what's going on and why it was brought up and what needs to be done. And then in the healing session, we address it. So when I connected with the client, I told her the information I got, and I said, "What's going on? What happened with your time in the womb? Do you know anything that happened when you were in the womb?" And she said, "Well, as a matter of fact," and she didn't have a twin, a biological twin. She said there was a special circumstance around my mother's pregnancy. She had an older brother that only lived to be 6 months old before he died. And then she was born shortly thereafter, maybe just another year, maybe a year and 3 months. I can't remember. So, and she always had this sense of betrayal and abandonment. And that's when they said, okay, so this is where the conjoined or the vanishing twin comes in. He had incarnated in the womb with her to keep her company during the pregnancy. But he did not intend to actually have a physical body. He was only there to keep her company and to impart some wisdom onto her for her future journey. So when he vanished in the womb, she took that very personally and felt betrayed about it, over it. So that answered that question, and that needed to be dissolved. That the feeling she had over that experience needed to be dissolved and healed.
Yeah.
And when we got into the healing session, I saw Anthea because it's kind of like a guided meditation, and I just describe what's happening with the client, and this is all done virtually. I saw Anthea. She uses a lot of crystals, or she uses one crystal, apophyllite. And when the apophyllite engaged with that person's body, it tended to go all the way down to the sacral plexus, and then there it formed this really big bolus, this big ball of energy. And Anthea actually brought in even more energy, like this. It was like a crystalline spear she brought in from the crown all the way down to that bolus. And she charged a ton of energy into this area to dissolve what had collected there. And she hadn't ever done that before in any session. So I wondered what that was about. And when I talked with the client afterwards, we debriefed about the session afterwards. She confided in me that she actually had uterine fibroids that had made it very difficult for her to become pregnant, and she only had one child because of it. And there was a family history of this uterine difficulty, and every woman in her family had had trouble conceiving, minimal offspring, and they all went into early menopause because of it. And I go, well, there's your ancestral connection there. There's your ancestral pattern. And she said, as we were doing the healing, she heard that this was her job to eradicate this pattern, and that she was deciding that moment that she no longer wanted to embody that limitation. And so while we were doing the healing session, she just let that go. And so these types of hidden anomalies within us are what hold us down. It's what keeps us from reaching that elevated version of ourselves. It keeps us from being able to elevate our consciousness, because pain and trauma lives in the body, the physical body, because our DNA carries it. And if we don't dissolve it, then it takes up space that our higher frequency can't live in. So as we get rid of or dissolve these lower frequencies that are staying within us, then more of our own divine soul can come in. And that's where Oregon brings it in. After the first two guides get it all cleaned out, get the tanks dumped, then Oregon can come in and help bring more of your divine frequency into your etheric self and into your body as well. And that was just beautiful. I mean, the whole ceremony was beautiful, where she just completely eradicated those issues for her. And she felt completely different afterwards. She even looked different. And they usually do. You can usually see a really big shift in these clients after the session. So it was incredibly powerful. But that's just one example. I mean, the sky's the limit. or the multiverse is the limit as far as what they will find and what they will help people with. So it's incredible.
You mean, are a lot of your clients that contact you, I mean, are they pet owners? Are they, contacting you? I mean, I know because you're not communicating with their pets, but are they contacting you because they're looking deeper for these connections, or are they just looking for somebody they were told you do a reading of some kind?
Yeah, most of them have heard me on an interview or have read my book. And I'd say only maybe now 50% of them or less have dogs.
Yeah.
So it's mostly the people looking for that spiritual growth that are
Yeah.
finding them. And some of them come to me because they have dogs in their life they want, clarity on, or they've lost dogs they want to heal from. But usually it's the people who are looking for the spiritual growth. They've tried everything else just like I had. Nothing else
Yeah.
would work for them.
I saw this comment in the chat room I got to mention. I don't know if have you seen these videos, because my wife showed me these. And some kids at work showed me it too, because the kids at work were talking about, how stuff goes viral. But what's this? Says Craig. Good example is on Facebook I've seen where dogs and cats are taught. I didn't know cats were taught to communicate with buttons they push that say words for them. It's not complex communication, but understandable. I mean, I saw one where the dog. It was kind of really depressing when the dog's like, "Why dog? Why am I dog?" It was like saying that. Have you seen those videos?
I haven't seen them, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, they sell kits so you can have these buttons where dog can like expand their vocabulary. And they,
Okay, wow.
And it's weird. I'm like, is this real? Like, because the dog's like getting deep here, like about it, like, who am I? Like, why am I a dog?
With the monkeys, the monkeys, the gorillas.
Oh,
They've been
yeah.
doing that for a long time with them.
Well, they can have a huge vocabulary of words they can understand.
And,
sign language they can do.
We are the only planet that only communicates verbally. Everyone else communicates non-verbally, telepathically. So when dogs come here, they can't figure out why we can't hear them, why we're not answering them, because they're trying to communicate to us telepathically.
I swear to God, my dog Bella would. Me and her, we had
Me
like
and
this.
they do. We can talk telepathically.
Me and
I've done
Bella
little
could.
tests.
Yeah, that's what me and my wife do. I'd like try to call Bella into the room without saying, "Come here, Bella." I would see if she'd do, and I swear to God, she would.
I'll change my
She'd come in, look at me like, "You called," she could do that. We just had that connection. I picked her out of a litter of puggles at this Mennonite thing. I just knew right away it's a dog. I didn't even know what a puggle was at the time. And the funny thing is that I always wanted to either a beagle or a pug. I didn't know what a puggle was. And I found out I got my two favorite kind of dogs in one, and that just ended up happening that way.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I love it.
But that's incredible. So if people want to get a hold of you, they go to your website and it's your name, heatherleigstrom.com, correct? And they just connect with you there?
Yeah, they can connect with me there. I also have my own podcast that's on YouTube. And in that podcast, we're talking about channeled messages from the canine guides, and then we actually do share some healing frequency around that message in the podcast too. So that's always a good way for people to experience the canine guides for themselves.
Thank you for the donation there from Prince Henry, $1.99. Thank you. So when you're doing this too, I mean, like you just say you go into this kind of like altered state, you go into the meditation. Are you going into these four core that you talk about in the book? These are your main ones that kind of help you in these readings? Are they like they're astrally traveling there or somehow or getting this information to you?
Yeah, I travel to them for that type of work. When I channel, I don't have to go there. You're just pouring things into me. But when I'm working with a client, I go to them because I am out actually meeting the client's soul energy in another realm. So I'm meeting the canine guides there too. But I'm not a trance channeler.
No, but you're in a sense like, because I've had a lot of mediums on this show, and like and some of them have particular spirit guides that communicate with them and give them information when they're doing readings. And it seems like for you're doing the same as them, but you've reached this other kind of group, or I don't know. What do you think gives, do you think they have, what their insight is different than from like a different, from a other medium that uses their personal spirit guide, I guess?
Wow, that's a great question. And what I've been, because I've always had the same question too. What I've been learning is that it's real important to understand the source of the information. So sometimes we get conflicting information because the sources are conflicting. So if you have someone who's channeling an entity that's not quite as advanced as another entity, you're going to get different answers. So that's important to understand, because one thing that I've learned is that everything is true. It just depends on who you're talking to. Every version of the truth is true. So you want to make sure that you're getting the most elevated frequency, the most advanced technology, the broadest perspective you can in order to get the biggest picture. So if you're dealing with someone's only their personal spirit guide, then you're only going one tier up, so to speak. If you're dealing with a collective, maybe the Syrians or the Andromedans, then that's a race. So you're getting another tier up. If you're dealing with a collective of races, then that's yet another tier up, because there's even more knowledge than that. So it's really your results and your answers will be specific to who you're connecting with. And I think that's important to understand, because throughout the years and throughout the decades, we've been getting different information from these types of channeled messages, right? So now we're getting much bigger information out of the channel, because number one, humanity can handle it now. And number two, we're getting so much better at channeling. We're getting clearer, we're getting better connections so that we can get the information through. But number three, we're also getting more access to the higher realms now than we ever did before. So it's important to understand the difference in that. But when I connect with the canine spirit guides, I go to point zero, which is it's in the galactic realm. And when I go there, I can then connect with any collective consciousness when I'm there. So I can connect to the consciousness of my client. I can connect to the Syrians, the Andromedans, the what's it called? The council, the intergalactic council, the
Council of
Galactic
Nine.
Federation. I mean, I can connect to the canine spirit guides, as a whole or as an individual. There's so many options there, and all I have to do is teleport my consciousness to go where I need to go. So with my ability to go there, the sky's the limit, or the multiverse is the limit. Instead of just waiting for whoever can come here and speak to me, I can go there. So that's really critical to me, and it's like the next evolution of humanity as far as I'm concerned, because that's, if you look at the older psychics and channels that have been doing this a really long time, their methodology is so different. What they're bringing through is so different. It has a different texture to it. It almost has a different vocabulary, and it has a different awareness to it. And if you look at the new channelers, the new starseeds like myself that are coming in now, it's a completely different dictionary that we're looking at. It's a completely different set of Akashic records that we're accessing. So, a lot of it was because humanity wasn't ready to hear the truth, that they couldn't send it through. So there's just a lot of factors to consider when you're looking at the answer to that question.
Well, the show is 8 years old, but I feel like from the inception of the show until now, it's like the world's changed quite a bit, and the energy's changed, and we've kind of grown with it. But like things have changed. You see us as we're like awakening to some kind of new consciousness. I mean, you wouldn't be the only guest to say that, but yeah.
Oh yeah. Those who want to will, and there will be those who don't. We've got new Earth. We've got a whole nother version of Earth. So the collective consciousness that wants to grow and ascend will go to a whole different place.
Yeah. So, see, I've always had a struggle with that idea. I don't know. I mean, is that the quantum like line? Like we quantum jump to a different timeline than the others in a sense by our own conscious thought of vibration, or
it's more subtle than that.
yeah.
So it's all about frequencies. And that's another reason the canine guides are willing to work with us in achieving this deep healing so quickly, because it's about frequency. As we, like I said, dump the tanks and get more of our own frequency in, we elevate in our vibration and we begin to exist on a whole nother plane just by elevating our frequency. So we're not going to literally go anywhere. We're just going to be somewhere different. And so now
Right.
we're already starting to see that there's a separation of timelines. The time is moving differently for different people.
Like the Mandela effect too, like people having different memories of reality than others.
Yeah, I think that's always happened, but yeah, it's getting more and more obvious. Since I've had my awakening and since I went through the profound healing that the canine guides took me through, I tell people that I reside at a different spiritual address. So like I you could call it quantum jumping, I guess, but I just leapt to a whole nother level and I now vibrate up here. I don't even perceive what's happening down here. Like all the wars and the hatred and the violence, I can't even pick it up. It's not on my antenna because I'm over here. So that's what I'm talking about, the difference. Like I don't live in the reality where all the negativity happens. I'm immune to it because I'm up here and my vibration is so high that I can't feel the lower vibration at all. And that's how it's going to happen. That's how the separation is going to happen. We're just going to elevate to that level and we're not going to be able to we won't even realize that we're walking the planet with other people that aren't on our vibrational level because we won't be able to perceive them.
Yeah, I've heard that explained that way before. It's still a hard concept to understand. I've had one guest that was totally the whole show was about quantum jumping. That you mentioned.
Yeah.
I get for me, I know I with what's going on. I talk all the time, do a lot of reading. I'm very much aware of what's going on in the world. and I'll admit, like I saw who was it, Craig there again. He says he's feeling a much darker energy. I'm with you, Craig, because things are great, but I also feel like a hope too. Like I've talked about on this show. Like I complain about things going on, the endless wars, corruption in the government, all these things that you might not be in the higher level, but I'm seeing it and put my Festivus pull down, and I got some complaining to do. About what's going on in the world, but I also see hope in the sense that I do see more people awakening to like these ideas that you have in your book, and this, the spiritual awakening is also happening. It's like we're in this tremendous time where there's a lot of great things I think happening consciously with people, but a lot of bad things too. Like there's two different.
Well, that's part of the
worlds.
shift. That's part of the growth. I mean, there's a division happening for sure. And that's where the changes are going to show up is with the division. So the people who, if you choose to go into a healing opportunity with the canine guides, you'll find that you get yourself to that higher frequency and you won't even know anything else is going on. And that's not something I set out to do. That's just what happened. I was like, wow. I've heard of people like myself that don't have no awareness of any negativity in the world because they're so happy all the time. I thought that they were faking it. I thought, how on earth could they live on this planet and not be completely overwhelmed with the negativity? Because that's where I lived. And once I healed with the canine guides, I can't even feel that anymore. It's not even in my orbit.
I used to get, I had a period of my life where I got really deep down in the rabbit hole of history, the history they don't teach you in school.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like about what really goes on in the world. And I got to a dark place with it, and people are conspiracy theorists. Turn frogs gay, get angry, Alex Jones angry or whatever. And I let it all go because I learned a simple fact is if you can't control it, you can't change it. then why are you worrying or wasting all your energy on it? I still like to be aware of what's going on in the world, though. I still like to be very much aware of what's going on. And it saved me, my awareness on certain factors I'm not going to get into, but it has saved me. But at the same time, I like my dad really with what stuff's gone on in the world. I remember one time we were putting in a sub pump. I got a basement here that would flood all the time, and I'd have to cancel the show for months, And so he's helped me put the sub pump in, and he's going off about everything. I'm not going to get into what he's going off about, politics. But I said, my dad, like, you got to stop. Don't get your blood pressure up on this stuff. He's got blood pressure problems. So, like, can you change it? Can you get rid of any of these bad actors or people doing this stuff in the world and the government? Can you do anything right now? Can you do anything about it right? No. What we can do is put this damn sub pump in. Well, that's what we can do, because I got a leaky basement. I got bills I'm behind on. I got a family to take care of. I don't have time to worry about that stuff. I got my own family and things I got to take care of, and life's too short. You can't change or fix any of that.
Well,
I think people should be aware of it and speak out against certain things, but otherwise, live your life.
Well, one thing that the canine guides talk about, or what they teach, is that anything that triggers you needs to be healed. So the fact that something would trigger you or anybody to feel a judgment or an emotion about it,
anger,
then,
frustration,
whatever that is, then that all that is signifies something that needs to be healed within you. That's what
true.
What it's there to do. That's its purpose. So once that's healed, it's not going to trigger you anymore. So you can watch the same news events, you can hear the same stories, and you'll just be like, "Huh, that's interesting." It won't make you angry. It'll be like, "Well, that's their choice."
I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. As my audience here knows, I am not there yet. I'm not yet. I put my fistful down on the World Wide Web of Weird and made my complaints about things going on in the world. I am not there yet.
The book and see what happens. Anything that you react to in the book, so anything that makes you upset or makes you really sad, that's a trigger. So that there's some work that needs to be done around that.
You losing your dogs breaks my heart, like the way it was. Like I'm saying that that makes me sad because but at the same time, it's like you explain it's a growing thing spiritually every time. We're there to be a part of this dog's short existence. Even if they live elderly, it's a short existence compared to other humans. That we have to count ourselves. It opens you up to count yourself lucky to have been a part of that for them. Be there with them.
Right. Yeah, to see the joy in it. So if you read a story like that and you'd be like, "Oh, that's so beautiful," then there's no trauma there, right? There's nothing that you need to look at. But if you read the story and you're like, "Damn, that was terrible," shame on her, shame on him. I mean, if you
I wasn't shaming on you. I was my heart felt for you to go through that so many times, because that's what held me back getting Kiki. We got, is like I put it off. The kids saying, "We want a dog. When are we going to get another dog for 3 years?" And part of me, that's when they tell me she's either 3 to 5 years old. We're not sure. I'm like, she's probably 3 because I'm willing to bet she was born when Bella and Asia passed. Because she was the dog meant for us, is how I feel.
Yeah.
But I waited so long because I don't want to go through it again. I mean, my parents they have their third Shih Tzu now, and they take it so hard. When their dogs pass, they took it bad when their cats passed. I had to bury one of the cats because they just couldn't finish it. My dad couldn't finish. He dug the hole, but he's like, "Can you take her out and do it?" It hurt too much. Like you said, you get that perspective of you're a part of this experience with them and their lives, the short lives that they have, and you get to be a part of their transition to the other side. Everybody says Rainbow Bridge, but if you look at it as a special thing, from the end of the beginning to the end of their life, you got to be part of that. That you are changing your perspective. Your energy, your vibration about it.
And what they brought for you, what they were attempting to share with you, their gifts with you. I mean, if you think about that, I mean, that's an incredible dynasty there.
Yeah. Bella definitely prepared me to be a parent. I'll tell you that. For patience and watching things get broken in the household. You know, she
Not
definitely
being
prepared me for
attached
that.
to physical possession.
Yeah, that's exactly. I love you more than the 6 damn controllers you just ate. You know, I do. I love you more than those controllers, but man, that's a lot of money. You know?
I have to
But
say
yeah.
it all the time. I love you more. These are just things. I love you more than the things. I love you more than the wires you just chewed, the dragons you just broke, the crystals you just flung.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, or with Luna that I love, my cat who peed in every single chair of mine.
Oh
Computer.
no.
This is my Father's Day gift after she ruined the other computer chair I got years
Oh.
ago. But she stopped doing that. But she did it for a long time, and I think it was because like I was the one telling my wife, "I don't want a cat. I don't want a cat. I don't want a cat. Don't do it. I'm not changing a kitty litter. I'm not doing it. I don't want to do it anymore. You know, like I don't want a cat. I had cats. We're gonna get it. You know, we have dogs." And then she comes home with the Siamese cat. She's like, "I got her for free." I said, "Well, you're changing the kitty litter. At least that I know that'd be my job when she got pregnant." But I think the cat did it because I was very bit offish about having the cat. So she's like, "Oh, you're offish about me? I'm gonna pee here. I'm gonna pee there until I get your attention."
That
Till I
cats
get
will
your
go
attention.
for the people that don't want them the most, or that will
Yeah,
ignore
and like I
them,
said, she
not
follows
make
me
eye
around the
contact.
house. Yeah, at night, I tried every night. It's a ritual. She waits. She's waiting on the stairs, looking at me right now. I see you, Luna. I see you, girl. She's waiting for me to go to bed. She will not go to bed until I do, and she'll get up, and it's a ritual. She comes, lays on my chest, and I have to pet her for like 10 minutes. And I start to. Sometimes I pass out doing it, and she'll like lick my face, like it's not 10 minutes ain't up. It's about 10 minutes. I got to give her about 10 minutes, and then she'll go off, lay on my side, and leave me alone and let me sleep. But then at 5 a.m., if Susan's not getting up, my wife, it's meow in my face because she can't get my wife who sleeps like the dead up, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah. So she got me back. Luna got me back into cats. That's what she did. Because it was for me. It's like I had 2 cats in my life. I I've not had a great relationship with other cats. I had a cat almost bite me in the crotch once, and I ended up killing it by accident because I was 11 or 12 years old. This cat jumped, clinched onto my leg, and I yanked her and threw her, and she hit the wall.
Oh.
And she wasn't attacking me because I did anything I did. It was my friend's sister who was torturing that poor cat, and it bit me, and I threw it against the wall, and it died. I've always felt guilty about that. You know.
Oh my goodness.
And then losing, and I just never liked a lot of other cats. I'd go to other people's houses. I don't like cats. I had my 2 cats, Patches and Six. And Six I never even got very close to. Patches was my cat. Patches was my first cat. It was like my only cat. I don't want any other cats in my life. Six I was the only one I gave an exception to. And after that, I was like, I didn't want any other cats. And she brought Luna home. And it took many years for us to build this relationship. We got to go to our last commercial break. We only have like a half hour left. It's up to you if you want to stay. I know it's getting late for you. If you want to take off, we'll just do some open phone lines when we come back.
It's up to you. I mean, if you have more questions, I'm certainly able to answer
Yeah,
them.
we can continue on. We're going to go to our last commercial break and then and back about 5 minutes, guys. But our guest tonight is, I'm looking for there we go, music there. Our guest tonight is Heather Leigh Strom. Her book is excellent. You definitely got to check it out. Canine Spirit Guides. We'll continue talking to her. And nobody's calling in, and I know it's Super Bowl night, so a lot of people partied out here tonight. But we also lost part of our audience on Facebook. We had to relaunch the Facebook. If you're watching on Facebook, there's 2 links. The original one, some reason, stopped working 20 minutes into the show. So this is a new link. Hopefully some people realize or come back or catch it later. But we're going to go to our short commercial break. Be right back with our guest, Heather Leigh Strom, after the short commercial break.
Intercepted a transmission of unknown origin.
Transmission? Out here?
SOS.
Human.
Unknown.
Alien. Certificate X. Exclusive engagement at the Odeon Leicester Square. Now.
Any systematized transmission indicating a possible intelligent origin must be investigated.
I don't want to hear it.
In space, no one can hear you scream.
If you are interested in discovering the truth about the paranormal and want to hear from leading researchers in the field, join Justin Brown on his 3 weekly shows named My Paranormal Soapbox, Necromancer Live Show, and the Supernatural Subversive Symposium live on Facebook, YouTube, and
This is an APAC studio presentation.
Hi, I'm Barry, owner-operator of Barry's Barometer Barn. Lately, I bet you've been lying awake at night asking yourself, how many barometers do I really need? Well, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we think you need more than one. Otherwise, we're gonna go out of business. Remember, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we don't know the meaning of high-pressure sales. Come on, folks, buy another barometer. I'm trying to put my kids through college, I've got a family to support, and a secret mistress who isn't cheap.
Visit Barry's Barometer Barn, 000 Storm Drive. Come on, folks, buy a barometer. I'm Barry's older brother, Larry, and every time one of you people walk past the store without coming in, Barry beats me.
This has been a presentation from Tim Morgan's APAC Studio. For more almost professional amateur comic studio content, visit the APAC YouTube channel. Search APAC 2002. That's APAC 2002 on YouTube.
When Alex Gardner is asleep, he has an extraordinary gift. The government wants it, the scientists want it, but to keep it may cost him his life. It might be better if Alex didn't sleep at all, but he cannot resist entering the dreamscape. Can you? See Dreamscape in the West End and all over London now. Certificate 15. It takes an extraordinary adventurer to enter the dreamscape.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Heat 'em up.
Do, re,
Egon!
You're listening to Paranormal Soup, bringing you the weird every Sunday night. Call into the show and join the discussion. The call-in lines are 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419 or by Skype caller ID
OO J Bland OO or J Bland Paranormal Soup. And now to your host, Jason Bland.
Tonight's guest has been Heather Leigh Strom. We're talking about her book, Canine Spirit Guides, The Healing Power of Man's Best Friend. And we've talked about my dogs on the show a lot over the years, and what I went through with their passing. And I really enjoyed this book, because I've always tried to think deeply about their connections with us, our animals. And I love this book because it takes you kind of like an explanation of what those connections really could be, what they mean. And I'm truly enjoying it. Highly recommend it to any of the dog owners out there. And we got to ask her. She's going to have a cat book. I don't know, but we'll find out. And phone lines are now open, guys. Nobody's calling in. I don't know it's because it's Super Bowl night and everybody's wore out. But if you want to call in, we got about a half an hour left. But let's go ahead and get back to our guests. Thank you for hanging out there with us. Oh, yes. I was wondering if we were going to get to see the corgi.
Oh. She's grumpy. It's her bedtime.
I know. I got Kiki up there. Like, are we going out one more time? Because she has to be crated. That's where Kiki's at right now. But she's waiting on me up there. I can tell you right now. She looked at me like, "Yet?" I'm like, "Not yet, not yet." But yeah. Oh. That was one of the breeds of dogs. Is like I would totally rescue a corgi. I saw one.
My aunt just got a corgi.
They're such a good
They're
breed.
unique dogs.
Yeah.
I've never had a small dog, so this is my first small dog.
Yeah. See, that was the thing. My wife she never had a dog until our marriage. And Bella, a puggle, I don't know if people are familiar with a puggle, a mix between a beagle and a pug. It's not a very big dog. So that was her first dog. And then she had Asia, who was a pug. So when I introduced the big dog, it was like, oh no, I can't do that. She could not handle. She never had dogs. She just got used to the small dogs. So we're definitely small dog people. I grew up around big dogs though. Like my grandmother, you remind me a lot of my grandma, by the way. She's the one that had Alzheimer's. But before then, my grandparents lived in this, they had about 10 acres of property and they're out kind of a little bit of nowhere. Just a little bit, and a lot less now. My grandpa's still there. But all these people the one thing, man, I could hurt someone, is people drop, you talk about things that make you angry. Well, this still makes me angry. I'm not spiritually evolved over this one yet, but people dump their dogs out in the woods. They would dump dogs out by my grandparents, and my grandmother would take these dogs in. I think most of the dogs I ever knew as a child that they had were dogs that were strays they took in. The last one she took in was Scooter, and I'll never. This dog, it was crazy. It must have had its back legs got ran over. Was what we're guessing. It must have been she must have been under a car or something, and it got her back legs run over. But when my grandma found her, she would walk with her front paws on the ground and put her butt up in the air. She'd literally do a headstand to walk. We look out the window like, what is that? I remember the first time I was like going to the bathroom. My grandparents have this window on a 2-story. It would look out over their like this sloping backyard. They had a garden down there. And I remember I was like a kid and I look out and I go, what is that? It was this dog walking headstand. They figured it out on its own. To survive. My grandmother had a game. Yeah. My grandmother she was the sweetest soul on earth. She would get these dogs that had been abused and left out there like this, or injured, and an injured dog's really hard to get their trust, But she found a way to get Scooter and got her into the vet and got her checked out. And eventually, Scooter was able to walk on those back legs.
Oh my goodness, really?
That was my grandmother would always try to take these dogs in if she could, but there were some dogs you couldn't. Like, you don't want to talk about dogs. There was dogs they've been abandoned, and it was that pack mentality. And one time I got attacked by these dogs, and I watched my grandfather shoot one. My grandfather loves dogs. He loved having dogs, but he would look at those other dogs that there's no saving them. They're total pack mentality. They'd try to hunt me and my cousins down. It scars me to this day, but. Seeing that, but I understood it then. There's some dogs that are like, yep, that's not going to be the nice one. My wife doesn't understand that. Like I said, she'll go up to
Really?
dogs. People are like, oh, my dog doesn't like people, and she'll be like, hi, and the dog totally loves her.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, she has her best friend has a dog. You want to hear a story like this? This dog, my wife's friend Leslie should get a reading from you. And I know you're not a pet communicator. She should get one from Rob Gutro, who's a pet communicator. But the connection I'd be for my own curiosity is her friend Leslie got this dog that was, if I understand it right, like somebody who died of cancer asked her to take care of this dog. So what are you going to do? You know, I mean, you want to give this dog a home, and Leslie's always taken in elderly dogs too. She's a beautiful soul that takes in all these dogs, and I couldn't do it. Like she takes dogs in on their last days, you know what I'm saying, and gives them a home. She's wonderful. She took this dog in. It's a shepherd, and I've never been to her house since because you cannot be a man and her boyfriend barely is able to be there. You cannot be a man in that house with that dog. Or even anybody else. Like the kids aren't allowed over there anymore, which sucks because I love Leslie. And but this dog is not very friendly, you know. But my wife, no problem with that dog.
Oh, really?
Yep. Yeah, but it's the only one that Leslie knows it'll trust is my wife. My wife could go walk. She'd be the only person that could walk into Leslie's home alone and not get attacked.
It's her frequency.
Yeah. Yeah, she's always had that power with animals. I've had a power of, like, I've had aggressive dogs come at me, and I've just stared them down. I'm like, I'm not budging, you know. And I've stared them down and got them off of me, you know, like, backed off and then whimpered down, like, you know, do that stuff. And I'm like, how did you do that? I'm like, I'm just dominance, man. You can't back down to these dogs when they're, you know, it's fear aggression. You know, yeah. I've gotten good with animal behavior, but I don't have, like, my wife where she's able to, like, break that barrier and get an aggressive dog to like let her pet them.
My friend
without biting her head off.
Call me Dr. Doolittle or Snow White because any of these animals will come up.
I like Snow White.
Kids and animals. I can hand feed the squirrels and the blue jays and
aww.
Yeah, that's how my wife
will come up to me. They'll be walking and you know those. Oh, I'm sorry. It's okay. You know, it probably smells the cats, and they say, you know, my dog never acts like that to people. My dog usually gets mad at people and doesn't react that way.
Yeah, it's my wife's influences that way. What do you think about this, too? Because one of the things we've always wondered about, like, animals and spirit and the connections is, have you seen those videos? Like, there's a few famous ones with birds. And I had my own experience with this with a bird. But there's one I know in particular of... what was it? It was like two women sisters visiting their mom's grave, and this like bird comes and like lands on their hand, and it was her bird. It was like their symbol, just like my wife and her grandmother had their bird, which was what they would call the joke was between her and her grandmother Susan when she was a little girl would call them red jays, cardinals. You know, the blue jays, red jays.
Yeah.
And so that was a joke. So they always had the cardinal between them. The day her grandmother died, there was a cardinal sitting right when we just found out the news and looked out the window. There was a cardinal looking right at us through the window. And I had so what's your thought about that connection that sometimes family members and they come through animals like this?
Well, you know, it used to be speculated that the person's spirit would be activating the animal.
Yeah.
But now I'm being told that I don't think they're allowing that anymore for temporary purposes. Now I'm hearing that it's just like, you know, the birds have that collective soul just like the dog. So it's easy to communicate to the bird kingdom that you need something done. And remember that time...
They're messengers.
They're messengers. And remember that time, well, I don't know if you know this, but time on Earth is so slow that it's really easy to get ahead of it from other planes.
Yeah.
So from loved ones that passed on, you can get it. You're in the future constantly compared to what we are here. So it's easy to orchestrate an interaction like that because you know where your people
Isn't that that's like synchronicity? That gets down to the whole synchronicity thing. Like synchronicities in your life, like with spirits involved in that. How do they do that? How do they make the song come in on the radio?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like all these things that happen, like But that I've thought about that the whole time. Moves slower here, and they're able to see multiple realities ahead of us.
Yeah. So it's really easy to orchestrate that kind of stuff ahead of time.
I mean, I've had so many weird synchronicities like that. See, a lot of people, I think everybody has them. Everybody's got these synchronicities going on, but too many people are like this with their phone, Nowadays,
they don't
see
notice them. Yeah. And so my book has so many synchronicities, it's like really hard not to see them.
like I said, the whole cardinal thing with her grandmother. I took my oldest son at the time was, I don't know, 6 or 7, but he has sensory disorder, and big noises and loud things would really shake him up. And we had to go on a field trip to Brookfield Zoo, and downtown Chicago we had to go to as well, and be in that mix of using the train and all the noise and all the kids and all that stuff. I made sure I got that day off and I was going to be on that field trip with him. And he had, at the end of the field trip, he had a couple breakdowns a day, but he really had a breakdown once we got to the train station. All the kids are noisy as heck, and he's like, anxiety is out the roof. And my kid loves a good monster fight, basically, that he loves, he would play Jurassic Park and put his dinosaurs against each other, and I'm like, dear God, how am I going to get him out of this funk, this anxiety he's having right now? I took him to this, like, away from the other kids, even though we're waiting for the train, and like got him into like the enclosed space. It was hot in there, but I'm like, whatever. He's away from the noise, but he was still freaking out. And then I look out the window and I see this cardinal fighting with a praying mantis on the train tracks. I'm like, hey Dean, look, come check this out. I even videotaped it and shared it live. And I swear I knew that was my wife's her grandmother helping me out that day. I felt it.
Wow.
It was orchestrated, this little fight between a praying mantis and this cardinal. And it went on for several minutes. It got his attention focused away from the noises, and it saved the day. I'm like, thank you, Mimi. Thank you.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. And it happens more often than most people realize.
Or they notice. That's what I'm saying. That's the thing is like, are you noticing? It's like for you, this journey began a year ago or so, in a sense of you opening up to all this stuff. So, I mean, you've kind of gone really fast in the spiritual realm. So a lot of that has to come down, and that your book did for you is making you notice these things.
Yeah, and time moves very fast for me. When things get activated in my life, they go very quickly. Because I move in time very quickly. Not everybody does. So
I don't know. Me and my wife are talking about all the time that time is moving way faster, it seems like.
Well, it is. Time is moving faster in general, but I move at a different speed than my husband does. So he got to ride on my speed recently when we decided to move, and things happened at my speed, and he was along for the ride.
That's usually how it is in that household with me and my wife. She's at a definitely higher speed than me.
Yeah.
When she's on a mission like that.
Yeah, things happen quickly. When you can manifest, things happen very quickly and easily.
Here's one from somebody in the chat room. Let me see. Hold on. I saw this. Hold on. Said, my mom told me about my grandpa coming back as a dove to come from my mom and grandma. Yeah, you hear these stories all the time from people.
Yeah.
Craig, what the hell happened in 2020? You can say that about the last several years. You can say that about the last several years, but
2020 lasted a long time.
Right. Time slowed during then, right? Time couldn't go any slower.
Humanity was in a timeout during 2020. Mother Earth sent us all to our rooms. Yeah.
Sent us all to our rooms. Well, yeah. I mean, what I feel sad about it is like I had that like 2 or 3 months of not working and being home with the family. Is that I wish I could have been in your high vibration state. Because everything in the media, everything in the news, everything was trying to keep you out of that vibration state. Right? And I was trying to fight that so hard because I knew I was really enjoying. And I didn't want the time to fly by, but I was really enjoying. Not that it wasn't about not going to work, but having all this time with, some people are like, this is when parents start drinking more at home because they got to be home with their kids. No, not me. I was enjoying it. I was like getting all this time with my two sons and my wife that we work this 40-hour week and we work separate. I work retail, so my schedule's all over the place. My wife works like a very early, she runs a cafeteria for a school, so she's up early in the morning. So we don't have no weekends off together. We get our days off together are precious. So to have like 2 or 3 months together was like, man.
It's like reevaluate priorities.
It was so hard to go back. It was so hard to go back to the routine afterwards.
Wasn't that a beautiful gift, though? I mean,
right. That's what I said to my wife.
Yeah.
Like we got that time.
Letting it go and purging what no longer serves us.
Yeah.
And
but we were also going through the
forced us to do that.
It was such a huge change. We're locked down together, and our dogs pass away, and we have this time. It was a good timing for us to have all that time to like grieve together, But it was but that didn't help with the like all the negative frequencies at the time going on too. It was such a weird time. It's such a weird thing, But they said that's when like the sales for pets went like whoosh.
Oh yeah.
Everybody was out looking for a pet, because they're stuck at home and they want a companion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now they're not. They're all full again. So adopt your pets.
Well, because
they're all
humanity
full.
Rebounded, I mean,
I know.
I was so disappointed that more of what we learned didn't stick around. I mean, more of nature came out. I had wild animals in my yard that I'd never seen before.
The skies were so blue, like a blue I haven't seen forever.
The planet started to heal. The water started to clean. I mean, there was a really big message that's all it would take for us to save this planet, is for us just to shift our priorities. And
be home more with our families. That'd be great.
And that's a message I feel like we're getting at all different angles, all different ways. That's the big picture. That's what we need to be focusing on, not fighting with each other, not pointing fingers, doing this. We need to take care of things, take care of what was given to us.
Other races live through collective consciousness, meaning that they do everything for the greatest good of all people and the planet they live on. And humanity is one of the few races that does not do that. And part of the whole New Earth movement is because the New Earth will operate under collective consciousness.
There is a collective consciousness going on. Like you can see it, you can feel it. We talk about it on the show all the time.
Yeah.
That's why we keep failing. I really think
it won't fail this time.
Well, like I pointed out on the show, is that I think there are powers that be that recognize the collective consciousness of humanity. But for nefarious reasons, that's why you get these media campaigns and you get the fear-mongering, you get that we are being purposely driven to a state of constant fear, panic, terror, worry.
There's emotional mining going on,
Right, because you don't make good decisions. You don't make good decisions when you're fear, paranoid, worried.
No.
You don't make good decisions. And I fear they present us a problem they made, get us to react to it, and then provide the solution they planned the whole time. Yeah, get everybody confused.
Mind control. Yeah. So as people heal and they elevate their consciousness, that won't be possible anymore. And so that's why you're seeing all the conflict and all the anger and all the emotions flaring, because they're struggling against that reality. So they're trying to, it's a last ditch effort to try and control humanity to the point that it doesn't happen, but it won't. They're not going to be successful.
And if it wasn't real, they wouldn't be trying so hard to stop it.
There's no way. We're guaranteed.
Like what I described in around 2015, 2016 is like the wheels came off the bus. Like I'm saying, like the plan, whatever forces may be, thought they had in line to happen, the wheels fell off. Things, groups and people that have been controlling things have lost control.
Yep. That's it.
One of the kids at work today asked me, like, do you believe in the Illuminati? I'm like, no. And he's like, oh, I thought your answer was going to be totally yes. They'll stuff you. I'm like, no, I don't. I don't believe in some all-controlling force of evil or organization of people. I don't. I think it's chaos. I think it's just a lot of greedy bastards out there working on their own agendas. And sometimes their agendas align, sometimes they don't. But we're the little guys get it stuck to, But there's not. It's not. That's why you see this chaos, because there's a lot of greedy people screwing each other over in the world, and we're in the middle.
And you see the chaos because they want to instill fear.
Yeah. Fear is the ultimate control. It pushes people to do the stupidest things.
Yeah.
I can't go any further than that without YouTube usually giving me a bunch of strikes for if I were to get into 2020 at all.
Yeah. I know you got to still watch these days because we are being censored.
Yeah, you're right. I got to get on Rumble, man. I don't know. We talk about Bill Gates was like the thou who should not be named. And here, stuff like that. But the thing is, what we have this show, the internet, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. We have the beauty of the technology, the good things. There's a lot of bad. TikTok, get rid of your TikTok. But the good of the technology is this here. Not me saying this selfishly. I'm just saying the fact that people like you and me and everybody else can come together and talk about these experiences that 20 years ago people might be doing in chat rooms. But you remember those? Now they do it in a live stream video chat room, and that they could join the call or call in a show or whatever. It's like a whole interactive experience where we can all have like a community and group. And reason I started doing this show is I had a shadow person experience that was very terrifying and felt very alone. Even though I had two other people going through it with me at the time, I still felt alone, like I couldn't talk to anybody. It was so personal. But I wanted to do the show so I had a place, an outlet for people to go through some kind of crazy experience like that, or anything, to have a place to talk about it.
Right. It's beautiful. I love it. And now we are able to talk about stuff like that, and people are open to it now.
Yeah, and you have your own podcast and the YouTube channel for that. If they're looking that up, what's the name of the YouTube channel?
My handle is Heather_Leigh_Strom. And if you just Google my name, you'll find it because I've got videos all over the place.
Yeah, I saw some of them. I just couldn't remember the name of that. What's your future projects hold here for you?
Oh, I do have a big workshop coming up at the end of March. I have a half-day mini workshop with Anthea and Oscar, where the participants will learn more about these canine spirit guides and also receive their wisdom and receive, I'm expecting at least 2 healing sessions, maybe 4 out of them.
Is this a virtual workshop?
Virtual, yeah, so anybody in the world can attend. The information's on my website. You can register there. And I never know what's going to be the topic until I channel it in right beforehand. So it's always a surprise to me, and the group workshops are incredibly powerful.
And then you said you alluded to earlier that there's these 50 or so spirit guides attached to the canine thing. So you got a further future workbook coming out on those?
Yeah.
On those?
Yeah. So the next group was called the Essential 8, and they're a little bit more lighthearted than the Core 4. A little bit more magical and happy. So it's going to be a really nice balance after you get through with the first nitty gritty stuff. I haven't met them all yet, but they're starting to give me previews, and it's going to be a lot of fun, I think. So that'll be the next book, the next 8 of them. So we'll see. I think they're waiting for for humanity to embrace them before they just dump the rest of them. So they're just going to keep trickling out until they catch on, and then all of a sudden it's going to be like an encyclopedia. Instead of a story,
Yeah, why I recommend this book for people, the Canine Spirit Guides, because it made me think as I was reading about the connections that I've had with my dogs. I'll tell one more funny story of connection. I think your book helped me realize. Okay. Is with Bella, my first dog. I told you she ate like the 6 Xbox controllers.
Yeah.
Like she would just chew through, like she'd hunt those things down, and that's what Kiki's doing now. Well, my actual first dog that was my dog, not my aunt's dogs, Gypsy and Chow, like my mom and me before she met my stepdad, I begged her for a dog. And then I told you the reason why. We had a dog, and she never did it again after this, but she got this dog. Like my babysitter, I think I had at the time, it's like, oh wait, they're giving away this dog. He needs a home. So my mom, who worked, a ton of hours, is like, I guess he really wants one. We lived in a trailer, not, it's just the two of us. Got this dog, and he chewed up every single one of my Star Wars figurines, and I had like the classic stuff. Some of these would be worth thousands of dollars now, like as collectibles. I mean, it was 2 garbage bags full of toys my mom had to throw away. And so me as a little, I don't know, it was 5 or 6. My mom comes in my room and she doesn't see the dog anywhere, and I'm sitting on top of my toy chest. She goes, I don't even remember the name of the dog now. I can't even think what we call him, Benji or something like that, because that's the only dog I knew at the time was Benji. The Benji movies, remember those?
Yeah.
And, where is he? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just sitting on my toy box, and then she could hear a whimpering. She goes, get off the toy box, opens it up. I had put the dog in the toy box, and I remember doing this, like, oh, you want to eat my toys? You want to eat my toys? Fine. Put him in the toy box and said, you can have them all. And then he pissed all over my toys in the toy box just to pay me off for it. But I think about it, and I look at that dog and remember her face and the way she would look at me, or he would look at me, because it was he, but Bella was a she. But I don't think those things matter. Is that the same look this dog would give me is very similar to the looks that Bella would give me. Even though I only had this dog for a couple of weeks. The end was when, after it chewed up all my toys, I didn't want anything to do with it, and then it chewed up my mom's shoes, and that was it. My mom was like, dog's got to get home. She tried to, she didn't have a crate. We didn't have money for a crate, and she had, tried to barricade it in a room. No, it didn't matter. This dog it was an escape artist just like Bella. And I swear maybe Bella came into my life later is an incarnation of this dog. You got to own up to living with this dog for the rest of your life.
She was trying to get your attention.
Yeah, I'm going to chew up your controllers. You remember me? Yeah, I chewed up all your Star Wars toys. I'm back. And this time you're not getting rid of me, right? Because I felt guilty about that. It always weighed on my heart. I was a little kid, and I was a little brat. Got mad about my toys, but I felt really guilty afterwards, and my mom had to give the dog up. And that's why I went a long time, no dog or whatever, until me and my wife got married. So thank you for, like I said, that's why I highly recommend the book. I think it'll make people think about these connections they have with their pets a little bit more deep.
Yeah, and it also gives you an opportunity for very deep healing too.
Yeah, definitely. Especially, like I said, if you look deeply at your connections with your pets and with the people around you, there's a lot of healing there. There's a lot of things you can understand about your life and what's going on. A lot more forgiveness and acceptance for yourself and for others, I think if you look at the bigger picture. So that's why, like I said, I really enjoy your book. Love to have you on. Any future stuff or future book, you get a hold of me and let me know, and I'll have you on.
Okay. Will do. Absolutely. You managed to keep me awake.
I did. I didn't know if I would, but I did. But that's it for the show, guys. Our guest tonight, Heather Leigh Strom. Check it out. Her book, K9 Spirit Guides, is the book here. Beautiful cover. I highly recommend it. Heather, you've been great. But that's it for the show, guys. We will be back next Sunday, same bad time, same bad channel, with guest Brandy Gilmore. We're going to talk about her self-healing protocols. More healing here for you. Next Sunday, same bad time, same bad channel, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Central, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. 11 p.m. Pacific time. Check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Don't forget to subscribe and follow, and keep sharing out. Thank you to everybody who shares out the show. Keep telling people about Paranormal Soup, where the weird happens live every Sunday night. And thank you to everybody who donates on Super Chat. Thank you to Dave, the guy who donated on Super Chat. You can also find us on Patreon under Paranormal Soup, Jason Bland. $2 a month, $5 a month gives you access to our chat room in there. You can always send me messages through there. That's the best way. Or you can email me at paranormalsoupjbland@gmail.com. Thank you guys for watching. See you next Sunday.